scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the crop, gotta love it or not. I'm hot from the hop to the scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with the scrub the spot, get the club to pop. When I come up with everybody, we do it. Everybody, we do it.
Trap Talk with MJ, coolest reptile podcast in the world. What's good, everybody? I'm your boy MJ. It's another Thursday night. If this is your first time tapping in, please do your boy a solid. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell, hit me a like, dislike, leave me a comment. I want to know what your feedback is for the guest. But to all my trappers returning, what is good? Shout out to all the early birds. Things are cracking off. Things are been cracking off. And that's what I expect for a guest like tonight. You know what I mean? We got some royalty in the building. What is good? Man, I'm so excited for tonight. You have no idea. Whew. Yeah. Before we get started, you already know what the deal is. Shout out to the sponsor, Cold Blooded Cafe, www.coldbloodedcafe.com. Freshest and bestest, delivered to your doorstep. Anywhere from the day one pinks to the mammoth rats. Anything that your fucking snakes are just going to thank you for is going to be Cold Blooded Cafe. 110%. You got eggs? Put them inside of a sim box. No more, oh man, sim containers are hard to get. No, sim containers are gettable. You could fucking straight cop sim containers right now if you want. Head over to their website. I'm not sure how many they have left. I know I got mine coming, but make sure you head over to sim containers because that's what you should put your eggs in. And that's the simplicity of hatching shit out inside of a sim box. Can't go wrong with the sim box. Can't go wrong with Focus Cube Habitats, the future of enclosures. I say that because PVC is really the future of enclosures. I mean, it's what everyone should want. Easy to move around, easy to clean, and they look awesome. They look clean. Check that out. Focus Cube Habitats. They're on Instagram, and check out their website. Shit's cracking over there. They have so many different types of arboreal cages, and they also have stuff for bigger snakes. You don't want to miss that. Go to Focus Cube Habitats website. Let them know MJ sent you because they know me. Shout out to Steven and Ashley. Texas in the house. And then we got the NorCal motherfucker in the house, the homie Jesse over at Freedom Breeder Stainless Steel Racks. If you got a Freedom Breeder rack, damn, you're hard. That's all I got to say. Super gangster if you fuck with Freedom Breeder because Freedom Breeder is gangster. Hands down. They don't lose value. You want to know what doesn't lose value? Gangster ass shit. That's Freedom Breeder. Shout out to Jesse and the Freedom Breeder crew. Some more gangster ass shit. Shout out to Miguel Garcia, always evolving pythons. And then shout out to Aussie Boyds, two of the most respected fucking ballers in the ball python game. And when I say ballers, I don't mean financially, even though that's also what I mean, but I just mean personality-wise, fucking business mindset-wise, just super on another level with this shit. And these are two motherfuckers you should be looking up to. I mean, I'm not going to tell you who to look up to. I look up to these two. And yeah, man, pioneers in this shit. Shout out to the homies, always evolving pythons and Aussie Boyds LLC. And I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Got anybody, dude? I got so many sponsors. You know what I mean? I'm trying to brag or anything. I just got a lot of sponsors. Okay, guys. Oh, early birds. What's good to the early birds? You guys are going nuts right now, bro. 1776 Exotics, the homie Mike, Patreon homie right there. What is good? One of the fucking first dudes always throwing a comment before the show starts. That's what I'm talking about. King Cone, what's good, bro? Early bird in the building. Fours, Pythons, Bateman, what is good? The homie Alex, what is good, Alex? Another Patreon homie, Savage Beauty Exotics, what is good? One of a big homie, Patreon homies, Mindy, what's good, Mindy? And another homie, Chad, too. Chad Chu, Dylan McNeil. Look how hard these names are. And then the homie Wiz Constrictor. What's up, Wiz? And the homegirl Hannah. And then Mac Lorenzo. Mac, I knew you're going to show some love. Mac Lorenzo right here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a homie right here. This is the homie. He supports Steve. Dude, he loves Steven, bro. Because, I mean, Steven's the scrub king. Mac Lorenzo loves scrubs. It makes sense. Thank you for being here. This is going to be a great show. Aiden, what's up, Aiden? Welcome to the show. Pacific Rim Serpents, man. There's so many of you. Aurora, what's up, girl? Glad you're here. Jamie. And yeah, there's a bunch of you. Oh, I gotta say what up to the homegirl Kayla. What's up, Kayla? Marvel Balls UK, because she stays up for this. So I want to make sure I give her a shout out. And I gotta give the Boega King, Aaron Solano, a shout out from the NorCal. I knew you're gonna tune into this. You guys are all here. But tonight, man, I've been looking forward to tonight. I'm even gonna eat some cushy bears for my homie Cushy. I'm doing a complete capless. When have you ever seen me do a podcast with no cap? Tonight, you're going to see me do a podcast with no cap because the guy I have coming on, my homie, one of my mentors, okay? Somebody who's always fucking just been there for me, man. And I'm talking about, like, you know, he's giving me his time of day when he didn't have to because the fucking kid's busy, bro. Kid's busy being a fucking scrub king, you know, handling like a fucking beast. And he's my co-host on Unfiltered Reptiles podcast. King Bubbington, King Scrubs. Stephen Kush, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Steven. What's up, baby?
Good evening.
How you doing, man?
Doing pretty well. How about you, man?
I'm so stoked for this because it's one-on-one. I've had you on Unfiltered, but that was, you know, obviously mostly ran by Forrest. But, dude, Trap Talk now, man. I got you here, and I'm stoked because you are so diverse in the shit that you keep, the knowledge you have. Oh, we're going to just talk about a bunch of shit tonight. I'm stoked. But
let's do it.
How are you feeling, man? How was your day today? I know you got, you know, your days are like this, but mostly like, whoa, like, and then they go up, you know. But how was your day today? Let everyone know what kind of day was a Thursday over at Reptek and Cold Blooded.
It was a pretty laid back Thursday. You know, did some typical stuff. Got that rack in here.
I saw that.
That rack.
I saw that.
Like, the whole goal in here was, you know, it was super crowded, and then we moved some animals around. We built the monitor room, and then it was all open and wonderful. It was an open concept, as they say. And well, we're starting to screw that up because that rack's kind of just sitting in the middle. But what are you gonna do? Animals got to go places. So
I love how open it looks. It looks open. Like you look like you got some space in there, and it looked like that the first time you changed it after I visit. But right now, it looks like, I mean, it looks like obviously you have the right idea, and that's what you're going for, right? You want things to be as accessible as possible, right?
It's just like, you know, can you cram a bunch of shit into one area? Yeah, sure. But you know, it's, for one, like the kind of animals we have in here, it's nice to have a little bit of width to work them. You know, with crocodiles, big scrub pythons, monitors, whatnot. Like, you know, it's nice to be able to like take 5 feet of, you know, 5 feet back if you need to. And then, like, you know, I just don't like to be all cramped up. We have these, it's on one of the like utility carts right now. We have 2 of them in here. Can line them up side by side now and have like 50 water bowls ready to go. So
nice.
From a functionality perspective, it's very useful.
Okay, so for the people who aren't too sure, like, exactly what it is that Stephen Kush does, like, meaning as a whole, because, I mean, let's see, you have Reptek, which is the reptile side of Stephen Kush, like one portion of Stephen Kush, and then you have the Cold Blooded Cafe, which is the rodents that you basically, you have a team that's established, but you manage that team as well, right? So let's talk about how what's a typical day that you break up, because, I mean, you got different chores of the day with the reptiles, but then there's also shipping days and stuff with the rodents. So what's a typical Kush day like?
You know, it's hard to say, and because it changes so much. I'm in a very lucky position right now with the team that we have here that I can actually spend full weeks doing just reptile stuff, like actively. I'm still making sure everything's running well, and you know, good thing is it does almost all the time. We have, you know, we have a great staff. Obviously, does a whole lot to help out with the operation side of it too. It's not just me.
Look who's here.
Yeah.
Hi, Des.
What's up?
Big homie alert.
Really not me. But I think, you know, from that side of it, like she'll do more of the shipping stuff, and then I'll manage the barn a little bit more, you know, the live production, where, you know, I did the shipping forever. And to be honest, I'm just so burned out on it. It's not even funny. We have Amanda now. She's our shipping manager, and she's been doing a great job since she's been here for probably 5 months now. So that's rid me of the entire burden of being active in that job, which has opened up all the time to focus on the reptiles, which it came at the perfect moment because it was right before we start feeding stuff up heavy for breeding season. So, because last year I didn't have nearly enough time to focus on preparing stuff, and I think our season reflected it, where we had some production, but not nearly what, you know, we would have liked. So the goal this year is to start changing that, start to actually produce more reptiles.
Right. I mean, I do want to say, I mean, I followed Steven pre-Cold-Blooded Cafe and Reptek, where he was just fucking banging out epic front yard classic videos. You still have those up, right? I mean, I'm probably going to pull one up. Okay.
You know, there's always that thing of like, everyone wants to have the post to follower to following ratio on Instagram, you know,
Yeah.
like rappers will delete every single one of their posts and they'll have like 2 there.
Yeah.
Like,
That's so
you
weird.
know, I don't like having over 1,000 posts, but at the same time, like it's cool to scroll back and be like, hey, that's what I was doing 6 years ago. That's kind of why I started it.
You know, when you're a rapper, you're not, you know, you mean rappers are always they can never figure out what they want to be for the most part. Like I appreciate the ones where they stay true and shit, but like if you look at these nowadays rappers, bro, they go like this. Like they're not even like sticking to what one thing is that they're really good at. Because I mean, no disrespect, any nowadays rappers, like I mean the ones that are on radio stations are just fucking real, like they're like pop stars. They're like real gimmicky. It's not really, you know. Like me and Steve fuck with the same kind of rap music, you know, like we, you know, but that's the shit we like is not being played on the radio. You know what I mean?
I might have some radio songs in my playlist, but yeah.
No, you don't play it around me.
But my point being is just like, you know, I feel like my page would look better if I had less posts, but
you're tripping.
Yeah, whatever.
You need more posts. You actually, you stopped posting. You stopped posting for like, I mean, you were a lot more consistent back in Chicago. And then you kind of like stopped, you know, while you've been in Indianapolis.
Yep.
So I don't know. I mean, like, honestly, do you even miss posting as much as you used to post, or are you kind of just like fuck, like whatever?
I don't really like social media that much. Let's say, I mean,
Correct.
I like interacting with people. I like talking to people, but like, it's just the whole gratification. As like, you know, you receiving gratification from others, like that's how I'm like, oh yeah, I'm doing it right. Somebody commented, great, incredible. I'm like, you know, and that's actually back like in, I think from like the end of May until like sometime in July, 2020. I was still like checking on it. I didn't post anything, no stories, no post or whatever, because like I was trying to get my mind back to the place where something can happen, I feel gratitude and like, you know, fulfillment and not have to post it.
Right.
Posting on social media and gratification from my life and my work can be separated. So
true passion right there.
And that, yeah, you know, which it sometimes it's hard to keep, especially when you're as busy as we stay over here. So there's definitely a period of like trying to find it back, you know, trying to not necessarily find the love of the animals, but like that drive to be in there every day to push a little bit extra. So, you know, it's not always rainbows and butterflies and sunshine and leprechauns and all that.
Yeah, and I just want to, you know, I just do want to kind of clarify. Like, I may seem like putting stories and shit up is very easy to me, but there's times where I just don't want to fucking do shit. Like, I just don't want to do it. So it is difficult sometimes, bro. Like it is, even, you know, and I'm myself. I'm not trying to act like anyone else. I'm myself, but it is a lot of energy. You do have to like be engaged. You know what I mean? Like it's and listen, I've actually had a taste, not a full. I mean, I was with you guys for like a couple days, so I had a taste of what Kush and Desiree deal with day to day, and it's really hard to get any content type in, bro. Like, it's not easy, bro. Like,
and especially like last year when you were saying I didn't post for a while, that's because I was, 12, 14 hours a day in the rat barn. That's not very fun content. I
oh yeah, here's a try.
I was doing the shipping like exclusively for a while, where it was really me and maybe somebody helped me out part of the day on Monday. And then after a while, I was kind of like, I got to go to the barn. We were having some production issues we had to fix. So, Mark and I spent probably like 2-3 months really heavily taking notes, observing what was going on, and trying to figure out where our issues were and how to improve. And then once we actually pinpointed it, it took like 6 months to actually fully correct it. So that entire time, I was really spending almost my entire week in the rat barn. So to be able to post reptile content, I mean, literally, I would be coming over here for the sake of posting something. And I wasn't going to do it. Like when I'm putting up stories, I'm cleaning animals, I'm feeding them. Like, I'm not going to a cage being like, all right, I'm doing a story right now. Like, I just kind of do it as I'm going, which is just kind of what I've done. So that's like, it's routine for me to do that. But when I was, when I was over at the barn all the time, it just didn't even cross my mind. And
you're just trying to get through your day.
And another thing, like, a lot of pictures I posted are outside. So during the winter, don't really post as much because I don't have any good outside pictures. So right. That's another reason why this time of year. I found like one spot in here with good lighting. Posted there a few times, but like still.
But I'll tell you what, your guys' shots are all about that crisp daylight shot. Like when it's not too cold and it's like October, right? October, September. Like, I mean, summertime too, right?
Slightly overcast, where like you're not getting that direct glare of the sun, but it's still, yeah.
Morning daylight's the best time. Like I think my homie Kenny was like, hey bro, I was like he's like best time to take your pictures are like 8, 9 in the morning. Like if it's a nice day out, you know what I mean? And like, bro, it's you get that, it's like almost like a nice blue light, but it's like an actual natural lighting. And like you really get to see a lot of the snake. You want to see, I pulled some old school stuff up from your, like, look at this. This is so sick.
Great.
This is from 188 weeks ago. I can't even do the math on that, but that's a long time ago.
That's awesome.
Do you recall what scrub this was?
That was my first scrub. He's right over there. I think he's in shadow. Yeah.
So this is a male.
Yep.
Okay.
Allegedly. It was sold as a male. I haven't gotten a confirmation on the sex yet, but I'm assuming, yeah, male. Like Maniquari type, so to speak. Sold as a sarong. So that's what it says about scrub locality, or barneck, I should say. But yeah.
Okay, so let's since we're talking about the locality, like for instance, you're like, oops, sorry, wrong one. So for instance, you're saying, all right, well, this is sold to me as a sarong, but it's a Maniquari. Like, is it just you getting in so many scrubs that made you be able to have an eye for these localities, or are you just researching the localities? Like, how the fuck do you know?
Well, I really think it's almost like a lack of an eye for them, because I've just, I keep really close track of this stuff. And especially, when that's all I was trying to do was buy scrub pythons. It's even predates moving here 2 years. So I was looking at all these animals and I'm like, they're being labeled this, they're being labeled that. I'm being told it's one thing. I'm being told it's another thing. I look it up and it looks like this. I'm like, who can really say for sure with the Barnecks that the locality data is true? Because, I haven't been to West Papua. I haven't picked anything out of the wild. Like
Not yet.
I couldn't tell you. Not yet. But when we hatched this clutch out last year, and there was like this, it spanned the spectrum of phenotypes for Barnecks. I'm like, well, what the hell? If these were all imports on a list, they would be Maniquari, Jayapura, Sarong, Kofiau, Arfak, but they're obviously not all different because they came out of the same clutch. So the way I'm kind of looking at it is, with our pairings that we're doing, if phenotypically the animals line up, cool. They're probably similar So, but if we can get like for sure locality data clarified barnecks, that'd be wonderful to be able to breed true locality. I just don't know if anybody can with confidence say that they actually have Manoquaris or Jayapuras or Kofiaus, especially Kofiaus. That's been one of them recently where like that's like the new pitch is it's a Kofiau scrub where you know, I don't know how many true Kofiau scrubs we've seen, and out of this freaking clutch we hatched, there's one that like textbook definition looks identical to a Kofiau scrub, which it obviously isn't. So, you know, it is what it is.
So what's crazy is like I feel like with the locality stuff, like I mean, you think at some point it's just going to become simplified, like especially if these clutches start coming out. Like, do you think people will start sticking to the localities, or they just generalize that hey, it's a scrub? Like, I mean, because I mean, I think they are going to get more popular. I feel like a bunch of species are going to get more popular.
Absolutely.
And I feel like you're going to be one who's really going to be the fucking trendsetter for the scrubs. I really do. Nobody has the shit that you have. So, but since with that mindset, right? I mean, you're obviously anything you sell, anything you breed, that stamp locality is not going anywhere. You're going to make sure you're breeding specific localities is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I am and I'm not. Like, if there is a barneck that I can say for certain is a locality type, yeah, I'm going to do my best to breed it to that same locality type. There's a couple in here that, you know, I bought it as one thing. I was told it was another thing. I was told it was a third thing a year later. So I'm over here like, okay, well, who, you know, whose word do I take? And the way I look at it is, you know, this animal doesn't have locality data on it. It is a barneck that's phenotype represents this locality. So if you breed that with one that looks the same as it, it's probably going to be similar. But there's some locality types that are definitive. Like if you look at it, you know that's what it is. Beox, you can't mistake a Beox scrub. Arus, you can't mistake an Aru scrub. Even the Marukis, the southern types, you know, I'm not sure how wide the collection range is on those, but they all look similar to a degree. You know, the really nice Oxabills, those orange Highlands, they are what they are. It really is just the barnecks where locality type is still pretty vague, because there's genetic drift within these populations to where it's not like, you know, at the border of Sarong onward, they're no longer banded. Like it's just, there's, you know, it's false. Like there's no way. And like, you know, I see pictures on Facebook of people, you know, posting old Jayapuras that they were breeding. Fucking great. You know, that any scrub breeding is great. But today I feel like that animal would be sold as a Sarong.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, you know, obviously I feel like anybody who's been following our content now knows that those 11 babies are not being sold anywhere.
I know for sure. Especially
let's say that the female produces another clutch sired by the same male this year, and we do sell a couple of them. They'll be labeled U.S. captive born and bred barneck scrub python. That's it. No locality will be attached to it, because I can't attach a locality to them, because I don't know, and I'm not going to pretend to guess. So
now there's barnecks with different type of localities for barnecks too, right? Like, or how does it work with the barneck? Because those are my favorite. I feel like,
I mean, the typical locality type, like the main locality types, you'll see these things labeled. Sarong is the one with the most representation, and then you'll have Jayapura, you'll have Manoquari, you'll have Kofiau, and then you'll have Arfak. And Arfaks are still pretty new. You have like the Waigegos or whatever they're called. I don't know how to pronounce that. And you know, you can say that these barnecks are coming from any number of these Indonesian cities or Papuan cities, and they probably are. You know, they probably are naturally occurring there. I don't know nearly as much as I'd like to about the natural distribution. But with these labels, you know, and historically with any reptile that is locality specific, it mostly comes from the airport that they're exported from. So like Wamena scrubs, what we call Wamenas actually come from Jayapura, and actual Wamena scrubs don't look like what we call Wamenas. But it's just it's just the hobby jargon. It's just what we say.
It's a guy. It's a facade.
So, I mean, but like we have Wamina type scrub pythons.
Yeah.
And if we produce them, we're going to label them as Wamina because that's what the U.S. hobby calls Wamina.
Right.
So, I mean, do they truly come from Wamina? Probably not. Likely not. But that's what we call them. It's like, it's like co-dominant.
Yeah.
Find me a true co-dominant reptile. I haven't seen one, but it describes a term that we use to define a mode of inheritance that's common among reptiles. So
5 seconds. What locality is this? 5, 4.
Anaquari.
Damn, he's good.
I mean, how are you going to tell me my favorite snake I've ever owned? So
I'm just trying to let the people know real quick. You know what I mean? But I do love this snake, by the way. So this is your female. This is the first female. So the first one we showed.
It was the alleged female that shed out some sperm plugs and then locked a few weeks later. So
this is it's a male then, or it's a hermaphrodite.
Nope, it's male. It's a breeder.
Maybe it's both.
It got labeled at an early age, and now it came out as male.
Somebody told, dude, I heard this could be total cap, and I mean, if you feel it, obviously you're gonna say it, but I had a conversation with somebody. But the thing is, he fucks around a lot too. But he told me that he had a female end up having a dick and ended up breeding another female or something like that.
I think he had a male.
But he said he bred the female laid eggs for him though. Like the snake actually laid eggs and then it like somehow had a dick.
I mean, maybe hermaphrodite snakes.
I mean, I'm serious.
That would be a huge asset for a breeder. Like, I wish I could get some of those.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. It's like I want you to be a female this year on it, you be a male next. But that's like, what if you paired with a male and they decided to combat?
Well, that's why you got to be on it. I mean, we already pair snakes that we have to look after anyways. Fucking, why not do it with the ball python? Fucking, those little nerds ain't gonna hurt themselves anyways. They're fucking
the ball python.
Yeah, we're talking about ball pythons.
Okay. Well, then, yeah. Who cares?
Wow. Come on, Steven.
Look at the ball pythons.
Steve, okay, with all due respect, now let's talk about the ball pythons for a little bit because that was Steven's foundation. He has some really great exantic shit going on, still does. Really awesome clown stuff, GHI stuff. So don't act like you don't have any involvement with ball pythons because you do, motherfucker. You really do.
Yeah, no, we do have ball pythons and always will have ball pythons. So
now,
I enjoy them too. I do genuinely like the species.
That was your first clutch you've ever produced, period, was a ball python clutch, right?
Snakes. I'd bred leopard geckos for a few years before the ball pythons, but yeah, first snakes, and then after that was green trees.
And what age did you have your first ball python clutch?
I think 15.
15? You remember what the pairing was?
It was, leopard head axanthic to axanthic proved to be super pinstripe.
Okay, that at 15 years old, that's a heavy project, bro. Like, how the hell did you get into an axanthic? Like, okay, let's talk about that because I mean, even now, axanthic is sick as fuck. But this is 5 years ago. So what? 2016. You already had shit breeding. Did you raise them?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, I raised the female. The male I bought like pretty close to breeder size.
At a show? Where'd you buy him at?
Yeah, I got him from Adam Chesla at Tinley, March 2016 probably.
Respect.
Yeah. And the female I bought a couple years prior from BHB at the same show. So and that was for her at the time, for like a 13-year-old or whatever, was an investment. So yeah, definitely was like, all right, I'm all in now. I'm spending every dollar I have on a female ball python. So
okay, let's talk about I remember I've asked questions about like Steven when he was younger, but I just want to be, for instance, trying to picture like how you had your money saved up so young. Like what were you like, just saving birthday money? Like how were you getting your money to buy an axanthic stripe or something?
At that point in time,
birthdays.
Yeah, so I mean, really, like when I was 9, like that's when it clicked to me, like this is it. This
At 9 years old.
Yeah.
At 9 years old. Oh my God.
It's like one of the most vivid memories from my childhood. I'd always been into reptiles, and for a couple years, I've been like trying to convince my parents to let me get pet reptiles. And we were gonna do the whole lizard thing. Like I was gonna get a Euromastix, which are still pretty cool. I've actually never owned any of them. And all of a sudden, something clicked in my head one day, and like my parents were at dinner or something, and they come back, and I have like 50 tabs open on the computer looking up a bunch of different snake species. I'm like, it's snakes. I'm doing snakes, and they're like, my mom's kind of freaking the fuck out because she was terrified and is still pretty scared of snakes. And but I would just watch YouTube videos on them because it was a great way to learn, and it still is. And I always saw this in like the recommended videos. It was just like Snake Bites TV, and 9-year-old Steven's like, I don't. Getting bitten by snakes doesn't sound fun, but like I'm gonna have to see it and like accept it if this is gonna be a thing. I didn't get the pun at the time. I don't know what's a BYTE, just a fun way of saying it. So I started watching some of the videos, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Like, what the hell is this? And then there was one video. It was like Snakes Make Me Money or something like that. It was like the title. And
old.
yeah. It's like, so I'm like, okay, click. And like it was Brian standing in front of that like rack, like that wall of baby racks at the old facility. I remember it so vividly. It was like opening line was like, people ask me all the time, how do I pay for all this? He's like, well, I breed snakes for a living. And that was just like the what the fuck moment. I'm like, that's a thing?
Dude. 9 years old.
I was like,
you'd even grasp that, and like, you know what I mean? Like, that's like, it's so cool that like you were looking for something, like you were actually looking to fucking hobby, like to find a hobby, which is awesome. But like, dude, a lot of kids just don't have that kind of ability at that young age. They're kids, which is fine, but goddamn, bro, like you were looking for something to do for the rest of your life, and you found it. I mean,
I'd always been that like really, really competitive kid, doing sports or whatever. And, I was always that, like, I want to be a professional athlete type growing up too.
Right.
And then just, I don't even know what it was. Like, it wasn't like, okay, I'm looking for my profession. I wanted to play football or something, but, whatever it was about me at that moment, that just clicked. And then, just started watching YouTube videos like a maniac, and, went from watching like, Brian Barczyk's videos, Jay Brewer's videos, and then like, the early Justin Kabelka videos. Those are ones that like I probably watched like 10 times each.
Right.
Talking about like the business side of things too, and like, my mom probably has them somewhere. I had these like 30-page like business plan things that I was writing up of all the different ball python pairs and stuff, and I was on Rodent Pro, like multiplying like the price per rodent for how many I need each week for the whole year and shit like that. And
I gotta see that. Oh, you gotta get that from your mom, bro.
Yeah, and I at that point I didn't really realize like
that's gold.
These things are going to go down in value. So like what this morph is this year is not going to be what it is in 5 years. And like, one teenager probably can't do all that work. But to me, I'm like, this works on paper. Why the fuck wouldn't I do it? Yeah, when other kids were, hanging out and doing whatever the fuck, I was nerding out on my computer doing math about snake pairings. So
you're literally fucking planning out your empire. That's nuts.
It worked. So
it worked
to get here so far.
So clearly, you ball pythons was your like, all right, cool. Snakes are meant for me, right? Because you got ball pythons going, right? That was your first snake clutch was a ball python.
Yeah.
But before the clutch, your first ball python clutch, were you already keeping other species of snakes, or was it still just ball pythons? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So from very early on, I wasn't like the ball pythons only. So like in these plans, it was ball pythons, retics, boas, corn snakes, this or that, the other thing. That because my interests were so broad. Excuse me. My first mentor in reptiles, his name is Andy Sagan. He was actually my pediatrician, which is funny enough. So like, I knew my whole life. And back then he was the leader of marketing for the Chicago Herp Society for the show Reptile Fest that they do every year, which is like the biggest education-only reptile show in the country. So no sales happen there. It's just people come, bring their animals. It's just like literally like the size of Arlington, but it's just show and tell.
Right.
I mean, it's an incredible concept that is not replicated in any way anywhere else in the country. And like some of probably my fondest memories in my entire life happened at that show. And, it definitely wasn't just ball pythons there. There was a lot of variety. He was mostly like a rare colubrid guy. So like I was, I was handling like Eastern indigo snakes and unicolor crebos, Trans-Pecos rat snakes, stuff like that really early on, which, we got these Mexican indigo snakes paired up right here, that didn't leave. So, but then, everyone gets hooked on the ball pythons first because of the morphs, which is fine. It's very exciting. For me, my first like obsession outside of ball pythons were green trees. So, and I don't even really know what really started that. But I mean, how can't somebody fall in love with the green tree python? So, that was like looking up. I wasn't really as like diving into the designer types as much, just because the price tags on them were so high. So I was looking at the localities and whatnot. And of course, like, 12-year-old kid, you hear green tree pythons are aggressive with these giant teeth. And I'm like, looking up which localities have good demeanors and stuff like that. So
which ones are certified sociable?
Exactly. And I had sarong or maniquari or basically not biak was the answer. And that was a tough one, convincing my mom to let me get a green tree python, because all of the whole aggressive big teeth and whatnot, that kind of scared her out of it. And my first reptile mentor, he had a green tree python that bit him, and he was like really painful bite. It was like right here in the thumb, and one of the teeth was lodged in there for like 3 months or something like that, and he got like infected or something. So like, a pretty legit bite. But it took a lot of convincing, and a big part of why I was actually able to start getting the green tree pythons was starting to work at the Wildlife Discovery Center, which was where I was before coming here. And that was the most, formative experience of my life, working there. I essentially got experience at like a zoological level from 13 on until about 18, when I went to college briefly. So, walking in there the first day, I really didn't know what to expect, because I was doing it for, you're on mute, my friend.
I've said college wasn't for you, right? You are obviously, you realized pretty quick.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew that probably from when I was about 13, 14. But that was my dad's dream, was to have, his kids go to college. So I went, and then very quickly realized, like, yeah, it's not going to cut it. I just felt like I was wasting my time there. So, and I would really, when I got there, I was like, all right, my goal is not to graduate. Like, I'm going to leave. I got I'm here. My goal is to leave. I just got to find the right way to leave. And then the opportunity to move here and work here came about, and it just, it seemed like everything aligned where it was going to work out.
Pretty quickly, huh? Like,
yeah, a lot quicker than I thought. Yeah, because I went to DePaul University in Chicago, and the reason I picked it is because it was a 20-minute walk from my house. So I went to college closer than I went to high school. So which is pretty funny. So like, I would wake up and I would take early classes so that I could spend, 4 or 5 hours going home, working the reptiles, and then come back to the dorm, do homework, work out, go to sleep, get up, do it all again the next day. Yeah. So I based my college around the reptiles, which is pretty funny. So
now I do want to mention, like, let's see, before Reptek and Cold Blooded Cafe, do you recall how many species you were keeping? Not even including the geckos.
Oh,
but how many species of snakes were you keeping before you Reptek?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It was probably like 20.
20. And I know you had you before you went over to Reptek, you had your first chondro clutch in Chicago. You were already breeding ball pythons. What else were you breeding then with snakes?
That was it for snakes.
Those two. Okay.
Yeah, the geckos is really what I got like my start on, because a lot of those projects, like, they're breeder age at a year and a half, 2 years. So I was able to get adults, produce, and then raise up the next generation pretty quickly, which it was great. It was a great way for me to kind of get my feet wet and, maintaining a breeding project, but I just essentially kind of grew out of it. So
do you feel like there's, and I'm just generalizing here, but do you feel like there's probably people who work with ball pythons, but probably would love to keep something else, but it just, ball pythons is just too easy for them? It's like, dude, I rather, like, they're maybe just too scared to even fucking challenge themselves.
I don't really think it's that as much as, like, and this is just the way I see it, and this is not an attack, the ball python world kind of like implodes on itself, where if you're ball pythons, you got those blinders on and you're not even looking outside. Which the ball python community, it's the strongest community in reptiles. It's the most represented species. Like, the ball python is the reason why this is the reptile industry and no longer the reptile hobby. But kind of what I would say is not necessarily ditch the ball pythons, but just entertain something else. Watch a video about a different species of reptile. If there's something that interests you, do research on it and get one. I feel like people can kind of lose their way with, and not necessarily lose their way, but just get caught in that ball python race, where ball pythons are great, but captive breeding, what's really important about it is these underrepresented species. Breeding ball pythons has nothing to do with conservation whatsoever, as is breeding an Australian reptile in captivity has no conservation effect whatsoever. Which it doesn't have to be. Not like every breeding ever needs to be conservation focused, but like, one animal that frequently grabs attention is a blue tree monitor. Breeding blue tree monitors is really, really, really important, because one, they're underrepresented in captivity. For a while, they were collected at a fairly, steady tick, and now they're CITES 1, which means that export is done. You're not getting wild blue tree monitors anymore. So everybody is working on what's here. For us, we have a pair of blue tree monitors. So for one, we want to breed them because they're our animals and that's what we do. But two, because their offspring and then the subsequent offspring of those offspring are very, very important for the species, both captively and in the wild.
Yeah, because I was going to say, as being as, diverse and select as far as what you guys keep, like, you guys are probably one of the biggest diverse collections in the United States, but there's still reason behind everything you guys keep, right? Like, for the most part, like, let me ask you that, Steven. When Forrest left and you were kind of like, obviously Des was going through what she had to go through and you were just fucking there. Like, it was you running the show, right? There had to be at some point where you had to sit back and look at each animal and think, what the fuck are we going to do with this? What are we going to do with that? Like, did you really kind of sit back and just kind of blueprint everything, you probably already knew what things were meant for, but did you have to like sit back and say, well, what the fuck are we going to do with this? What are we going to do with that?
Not really that much, because we were, from that perspective, we were maintaining everything and providing the right care for the animals. So it wasn't necessarily like, what are we going to do with this? It was like, once everything kind of calmed down, once life got a little less hectic, COVID, as far as what it did to the world, was really a blessing for us. Not to say that it wasn't terrible, but as far as like everything closing down, shows not happening, being able to just focus in on what we're doing, it did wonders. I'm going to speak for myself mentally, and then from the business sake, it was a time of great growth. But at some point, really, I have the certain parts of the reptiles, the certain species and whatnot that are like my big main passion, and then so does Desiree.
Right.
And what's great is that they're not the same. And I'm not going to speak for her too much, but I can confidently say that the monitors are like, that's her main passion. She loves those monitors. And I also love monitors, but I know that if I was doing this on my own, I probably wouldn't keep monitors, just because they take a lot of care.
A lot.
And for every monitor you can have like 40 snakes. So, and I'm a snake guy. That'll be forever the thing that,
oh man,
that keeps my interest. Other than snakes, I would really say my next biggest passion would be crocodilians. I'm in love with crocodilians. My parents would tell you stories of me dressing up as Steve Irwin and moving a crocodile, like a plastic crocodile, from this end of the apartment to that end of the apartment.
Hell yeah. Oh
yeah.
Shit.
That was like the first TV I watched was Steve Irwin, which it all kind of makes sense how it played out. But we took the collection as a whole, and we're just like, okay, we have a lot of shit, and there are just these certain things here and there that like they don't really fit. So we have like, I don't want to say focuses, but it kind of is what we have. We have, pythons, tree boas, monitors, crocodilians, abronia, and some colubrids, like larger colubrids for the most part.
You said boas, right?
Yeah, tree boas.
Well, you also have boas, and you also have anaconda.
Yeah. Well, I lump chondros in the rare python category.
Okay. Oh, did you say rare pythons? Is that what you said?
I said rare pythons.
But anaconda is not a python. Anaconda is a boa.
Well, so this is kind of what I'm getting at. So we have all these focuses, and then we have all these animals that don't fit. So, for instance, like the Colombian boas, the Princess Diamond and the Fire Labyrinth, or the green anacondas, those were two that didn't fit that we decided to keep.
Right.
But like we sold our Gila monsters, we sold our serrated conehead lizards, we sold our Xenosaurus. What else? We sold the rest of the geckos. Bill Stewart took our Australian barking geckos and Chinese cave geckos. There were just odds and ends things that like we like them, they're here, but just because they don't fit into some of these categories, we're not going to give them the attention they need to reproduce. Right. They might thrive and live, fulfilling lives and be properly cared for. It's just they don't breed like the other things we breed, or like our focus just isn't there. Like last year I forgot to brumate the geckos. I'm like, oh well shit, I didn't put them into brumation and they didn't breed. So I'm like, I'm not going to take that time this year. But Bill, for instance, that's his main thing. He's a gecko guy, and he took. I know he'll do great things with those animals. Like, so for that, in that case, I'd rather see those animals with somebody who's actually going to do the right thing with them. Smart.
So, well, guess what I'm doing?
What are you doing?
I got rid of all my Repteks because that's a smart thing for me to do.
Sometimes you gotta
pretty sad about it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, you got to reflect. I mean, for us, we're in the process of kind of thinning out the Abronia collection a little bit.
Yeah.
And before DMs blow up, oh, how much? We've been like loaning them out to our, partners in the Abronia Alliance. And, shout out Jay the Barber and John. They both got a pair of Abronia each. So, people we're close with so that we know where these animals are, but they're not all here. We touched on it last night, kind of our reasoning behind it. I'll just say it again, just if anyone didn't hear it, was, we have this giant Abronia collection, but, what percentage of captive Abronia in the U.S. does that represent? Probably more than it should, because if somehow a disease got into that collection and wiped most of them out, that's a huge hit. So if a pair is here, a pair is there, 6 of them are here, 8 of them are there, if something hits our collection, one of those other collections, they don't all die. So they're more spread out. And then, so if there's an issue at site A, site B, C, D, E are not affected. So those animals can still thrive there. And also so we can give more individual attention and just observe the ones we have better, which I think will lend to more breeding success. So I feel like we'll be more successful with a smaller group than we were with a bigger group.
It's very crazy the insight you have on this shit, bro. It really is, because it just shows how much attention you really put the animals before everything else. And it makes sense why you don't like social media, because you don't put shit out there for your own pleasure. You know what I mean? Like it's more, you make the animal the star.
Yeah.
Who did I have? Did we have someone on Unfiltered that said make the, who did we have? Okay, so we just had, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. I could have sworn we just had a guest that said make the animal the star. Like, make the animal the star. Like, and I thought that was really good. That was really awesome to hear, because it is about the animal. It's not about fucking us at all. Like, it's about the animal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the person who's portraying it needs to grab attention. You can't sit here and drone on like this. This is a green tree pipe,
Right. No, you got to. Yeah, right.
Yeah. You got to have personality. You got to be, you got to be an entertaining speaker. But it's not the Steven show, and here are my props. It is, I'm showing you these animals. I love them. This is why you should too.
I also respect people who have a great following base, great customer base, and they don't even show their face at all, period. You know what I mean? But I mean, to kind of, mention, or actually, no, I mean, that wouldn't matter either way, because, these people who kind of are like that had an establishment before social media, but still, you still have to be able to keep that. Like, just because you were popping before social media doesn't mean you're going to have a pop in social media. Because how many people are fucking like OGs in the game, which come to Unfiltered and even here sometimes, and, they're like, yeah, I just don't put my shit out there. You know what I mean? But they're doing fine. Like, they're doing just great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and it's, like in today's day and age, social media and success go a lot more hand in hand, because for anybody who's not established, it is the way to get your name out there. But if you were already established, you have no motivation to waste your time on social media.
Right.
If I was Ed Marino, I wouldn't give a fuck about social media. I'm glad Ed posts, because I love to see his reptiles, but you don't need to.
Right. Oh my God. Ed is gangster as fuck. And we got him Unfiltered. That's sick as fuck. How sick is that?
Yeah.
I will take that episode to my grave.
I mean, we've had a lot of great Unfiltered, but
yeah, that the energy.
I struggle for somebody to tell me that wasn't the best episode.
I just know the best feeling episode. Like, we've had a lot of great episodes, like you said. Like the last episode we just had, with James. That was inspiring, bro. That right there was that's for sure top 3. I think that was really just like.
I mean, it's so hard to make that list of like hierarchy of the shows, because honestly, they're all great, and we handpick these guests because we know that these episodes are going to be phenomenal. But just the handmade enclosures, all the designer chondros, and then the Bolin's pythons, like Yeah, if you haven't watched it,
Yeah.
go watch it and watch it. Don't, listen to it, but watch it, because
Yeah, you
the
got it.
visual is what was, that was very important, because we saw a lot of animals. So
We did. And I would say one of the sickest things we saw other than the animals was the enclosures, bro. Oh my God, the tree stump. How sick was that? Oh, because dude, I literally visualized having enclosures like that. Like I dream about it. Like, but then you also have to be like, well, how do I get the materials and stuff? And this guy just like, I feel like you could get anything you want if you just put your mind to it. You know what I mean? And all the guy's wood comes from local places. Like, he probably did that shit the most cheapest way possible, and it looks professional as shit.
That's the thing with a lot of this stuff. It's like, people will complain, oh, well, this is too expensive, this or that. Have you looked for an alternative?
Have I?
No, or like hypothetical person complaining about something.
Right.
Have you looked for an alternative? Have you just accepted that this is the way it is and you don't like it?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Instead of complaining, have you actually figured out an alternative?
If there's no alternative, well, then there's no alternative. But have you even entertained it yet?
The reason why they complain is because they hope to God it's not the good way to go. They just don't want it. They're lazy. They don't want to fucking switch it up. Because I'll tell you, there's been some truth that you've told me, Steven, that I didn't want to hear because it switches everything that I had planned. But at the end of the day, it's your advice, it's your opinion, and it's your experience. And I'm sure there's times where you had an idea for something and you'd found out, oh fuck, like this isn't going to work, and you had to restart everything. This shit happens all the time. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's what's best for the animal. You know what I mean? Which is also another fact, right? Like, because there's no, especially in this hobby, there's a lot of different ways that you could go that could still be fine for an animal, right? But for instance, like you have unique styles of keeping your monitor, like your raise up monitors, like you keep them in the freeze breeze, or Reptek breeze,
yeah, screen cages, yeah.
Right. And I love that idea. You know what I mean? I've been in your room. I know how hot that room is. I know you keep that humidity up. Like I know that you don't keep a hoodie on in that room longer than 2 minutes. You know what I mean? So, and I know that's why you're comfortable going with that style of enclosure, right? But like for somebody who just doesn't understand, like, there's people who would think, okay, I'm going to put this in a 4x2 and I want to socialize with it. Right. How do you really understand, like, oh, I should maybe try this out without getting scolded, or like, for instance, like, I don't know, like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, how do you just do things thinking with your gut instinct versus just like not caring what people think when it comes to keeping something like a monitor? Does that make sense? I don't know.
It just came from, experience and really just like listening to people. A combination of seeing what people did right, seeing what people did wrong, and then what I observed.
Right.
Really, the screen cage thing, a lot of my earliest monitor knowledge, if we're talking about monitors, came from when I worked at the Wildlife Discovery Center, because from day one, they had water monitors and black throats, so big monitors. And I learned about those, but really, like, I didn't know that much about tree monitors or any of the smaller species until I started coming here, and Forrest and Desiree taught me a lot about that. Right. So this was their method of how they did the tree monitors, which I saw that and I'm like, it's so nice because that screen is all that surface area for them to run on. If you have them in a glass cage or whatever, there's ways of modifying it, but they love that screen and they take to it right away. And if they're hydrated and don't have multiple layers of stuck shed restricting the blood flow on their fingers, like from that perspective, you're doing it right. There's a lot to be said for giving monitors multiple basking areas and different microclimates throughout the habitat. So we in these enclosures they have one basking spot, but I'm not a monitor expert by any stretch. I've worked with them for a while, but I think there's definitely ways that we could improve our husbandry, and there's ways I know I want to improve our husbandry that honestly we haven't done yet, and I'm upset by that. But they're raised up enclosures. They're going to be in there for a year, and then they're transitioning into something a lot bigger. So it's temporary setup. But as far as the socialization aspect of it goes, we don't really socialize our monitors. Desiree has the black dragons, which she does a lot of work with. I don't have that monitor that I go play with. Our female normal lace monitor that I put up on social media all the time, she has a wonderful temperament. But as soon as we paired her up with the male, we couldn't really mess with her anymore because the male's not very friendly. So we can't go in. I can't go in that enclosure and stand in there when she crawls on my shoulders for 15 minutes because the male will just be huffing and puffing and tail whipping and shit. So,
well, congratulations, real quick. I want to congratulate you for some 2020 accomplishment that has to do with monitors. You feel what I'm saying? You know where I'm going with this? You feel me? You feel me? Right?
It's not the exact picture, but
I mean, no, this is the species. I'm talking about just the species, but this is what you produced last year, right?
Well, so that's our male yellow tree monitor.
This is the yellow. This ain't the green.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. I fucked up.
They look kind of green, but that's the yellow.
I could have sworn that was green.
Yeah, we produced green tree monitors last year.
You don't have a picture of the green. Is it on Reptek?
No, I do. On my, they're like all four of them are all.
Those are gastros. I'm on your page, buddy, and I do not see the green.
Here, show my phone.
All right, let's see. Oh yeah, there they are.
Yeah. And
all right.
That.
Tell us. Yep, there they are. So tell us a little bit about as far as the experience pairing these and hatching them and was it super easy? Was it super hard?
I mean, honestly, like it's hard for me to say either way, because we didn't do any like intentional cycling or anything. This pair had been living together for probably about 1.5 years, and we're just keeping them, feeding them, just doing our thing, and then all of a sudden they start locking up, and then month and a half later, we're in there one day and we look over and it's like, what happened to that female? She lost all her weight. Quick, grab them. We got to find these eggs. So we dug around and she had 4 perfect fertile eggs. And then immediately I'm frantically messaging John from Sim Container, like, what temperature do I need? What temperature do I need? And, he tells me everything I need to know. And then we put them in the incubator, and that much longer later, we get 4 perfect little green tree monitors hatch out. So I guess not a whole lot of strategy went into it. I don't think I can advise on how to breed tree monitors based on that experience, other than if you have a pair that gets along well, you're probably going to be successful if you set up their enclosure right with proper nesting. So,
but like with the the temps dropping, like was that really crucial? Like as far as like the ambient heating and stuff like that you had to do for it.
I mean, this room, like in here, it doesn't really fluctuate that much. The coldest it'll get in here over the winter is like maybe like 74 ambient at night. Like it doesn't get that cold. And where a lot of these species come from, they don't really experience a temperature drop.
Right.
So I think with monitors, a lot of the classic advice you get would be more like humidity and feed cycling. But it also depends on the monitors too. Like with lace monitors, some people will actually put them through like a semi-brumation, because they experience the Australian winter, which is not nearly as extreme as the winter we get in America, but it still is a winter, and like they'll stop eating for a while. And then once they come up and start feeding back up, females will start developing follicles, and then the whole process, continues from there. I tried a little bit of that with our monitors. When it got cold, kind of reducing their food a little bit and then drying them out for a minute. But then I kind of saw some of them act dehydrated, and it's one of those things where like you just got to read your animals, and everyone always says that, but if something seems off to you, it probably is. Either that or you're a hypochondriac, which is a good thing a lot of the times with reptiles, because you don't want to not realize it.
Yeah.
Where like they weren't quite as alert as they had been, and it's like, might drying them out work, yeah, but we spray the hell out of them. Like, we give the monitors a lot of water. We give them a lot of opportunities to drink, and if their body is used to taking in that water multiple times a day, and it goes away, they're going to dehydrate.
Yeah.
So we started spraying them again more, but then I did reduce the feed, where we would typically, give them whole prey, like, rats or mice, once a week, which with the bigger monitors we still do. But with the tree monitors, we were just doing crickets exclusively for a little while. And now we're slowly starting to reintroduce the rodent prey. So we'll see. It's a lot of trial and error.
Right.
And, we have monitors that don't all breed the same way too, which is another thing that'll be a little bit interesting trying to balance. I feel personally with our lace monitors, once they get into that outdoor enclosure in probably early May.
Boom.
Perfect.
Oh my God. Dude, my obsession started because of you, bro. Remember you put that female on my arm. I'm gonna go pick up the pic, but Jesus, bro, my life changed ever since then. And
she's incredible. I mean, she really is an incredible animal. She might be my single favorite monitor on like an individual basis here. Kilo is pretty incredible too. So yeah, Kilo and that we call her Lacey, our female normal lace. They're incredible. So
you have that pair for like just under a year, or like about 8 months or so, right?
We got the male in like mid-August, and we got the female like 2 weeks later.
Got it. Okay. And they've been cohabiting ever since?
Nope. No. We started to put, the male has honestly probably doubled in size since we got him.
Wow.
We waited until he was about the same size as her, because lace monitors, they're big, but monitors, adult size and reproductive size are not the same. So they'll reproduce as they grow. So, he'll, an adult male lace can be 6 feet. Like, they can be a big monitor. And a female lace, 4.5 feet. Like, they both have some solid growing to do. But she is definitely of the age where she could lay eggs. And he's of the age where he could breed her. Right. So, they may breed as they continue to grow. I haven't seen any of that yet. They do get along very well, which is a great plus. I personally feel like that getting them outdoors, they're going to start really cranking up.
Right. And that's what actually inspired me to do an outdoor enclosure when you told me that. And, I've been talking to Steven closely as they've been building the enclosure, and he's been helping me out. And, the whole screen roof, man, when I look back and I see that, I'm like, wow, that's probably one of the best ideas. Like I could have took advantage of and switched to, because like you said, man, they would take advantage of every crawling space. Like Andrew said, get some lattice board and put that shit all against the side. Like they need to be able to crawl on everything, like, because it gives them safety. It just makes them feel like, because without that, they're just going to be running against the wall trying to climb it. Like no matter what, they're still going to try to climb on it, and it's going to stress them out.
Monitors and snakes are just they're so different. The only reason that they're even comparable is that they're both reptiles. Right. Where a monitor, you put it in a new enclosure and it's going to inspect every square inch of that thing. Yep. It's going to try to find every way out that there could possibly be. And then, it'll probably fall into its routine where it has its couple of spots that it likes to go, but they move. That's just what they do. Monitors are all over the place, and it's great. That's what makes them so amazing, is like, this middle island here with all of some of our like our yearling or so monitors. During the day, obviously right now they're all asleep. You just stare at it and they're just doing their thing, moving around, being crazy. Like it's just awesome to look at, where, a snake in a cage, you might look at it and be like, that's awesome, but it's just sitting. It's not gonna do anything. So
you want to know what was awesome? When I witnessed one of the most ballerest maneuvers, and it was like fucking Kobe and Shaq in the playoffs. It was the assist, and I'm talking Desiree and Steven when they picked up this bad girl right here. Oh, I watched this whole thing go down. We were like, all right, let's go get barbecue. And Steven was just like, he had his head down, like, all right, I'm gonna do it. And like for like 10 minutes, he kept saying back and forth, I can't believe I'm about to do this. I can't believe I'm about to do this. And then boom, I'm not gonna say the amount. The X amount got shipped. Boy, did he enjoy his barbecue. You're kind of sick a little bit, but you made it right here.
Yeah.
You purchased this in Arlington.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah, she is incredible.
She's incredible, bro. Incredible. And she's doing great, right? She's how's socializing her going?
Well, honestly, we should spend more time on it. She's just flighty. She won't bite. And then once she's out, she's great. It's that transition from in the cage to out of the cage.
Which is normal. That's normal, right?
That's just what you need to break. It just takes time. And really there's no excuse other than we just haven't put the time in with her yet. So, but she's definitely one that I would love to have as, a socialized monitor, so to speak, because for one, she's so beautiful, and two, she already, is on that path. So as long as we kind of, just keep interacting with her, the fact that she's in a high traffic area is huge. Where like, she's just used to people coming by all the time. So, that really does more than you'd think with a monitor being comfortable around people. Just if they're seeing people, even if they're not interacting, just physically seeing people all the time does a huge amount for them.
How active are they at night? From what you
They're
see? Not they chill.
I mean, it's actually pretty cute. They look like dogs sleeping. Sometimes, like honestly, the only time it's ever that late is after we record the podcast. Like going to shut down the monitor rooms, like because the light's automatic. Just take the phone flashlight and look in all the cages, and you see these little monitors just like all curled up with their eyes closed, sleeping all cute.
Oh man.
So yeah, they're diurnal, very, very diurnal.
What's crazy is like, if you really do love reptiles and you've only kept snakes, once you actually hold a monitor, like everything changes. Like I'm telling you, it's crazy. Yeah. I'm not saying you're not going to go get a monitor, but your love for a reptile is going to change. It's crazy.
It just opens your eyes, It
does.
And how could it if you didn't have that experience?
Right. It's crazy. And that's why I'm like, dude, shout out to Corey at Toothless, because my actual first monitor experience was because Corey invited me to his place before he moved to Jurassic fucking Park in Alpine right now. And yeah, I mean, he put Onyx, his big black dragon female, in my hands when she was gravid. Oh yeah, she has like 25 eggs in her, and he just threw her in my arms, and I'm like, oh my god. And like her nail, I'll never forget how like, but I almost enjoyed, like I didn't care, like she was just like crawling her nails, and I like wanted I wanted to scream like a little bitch, but I was like, dude, this is too. I was like, I gotta mimic the tree she's climbing, and I just stood there, and I got a couple good shots, and as far as pictures and shit, and bro, I just touching it, like feeling the texture of the scales, and I mean not scales. What would you call their? Is it scales?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's so rough.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. They feel like they're little tanks, like they're pretty, but yet they could fuck each other up too, which is nuts. You know what I mean? It's, oh man, and that's another thing. I mean, you've just got done having the Mertens go ahead and get some action in, and she went ahead and produced a clutch that wasn't fertile, but still she pumped something out, which is good, right?
Yeah,
and that's a sign you want. Period, right?
Yeah, it's a good sign, and also it was a good wake up call for us because we didn't have nesting down all the way in her enclosure.
Okay.
And big shout out to Andrew. He was a huge help through that whole process of after we realized that the eggs weren't fertile and she wasn't dumping them all at one time, getting the nesting right to where she even had an option to go and lay somewhere adequate, which was a little scary because that's the demise of a lot of monitors is egg binding due to improper nesting. So look at that, like she was full. I think I got a comment on that.
She's on top, right?
Yeah, I got a comment on that. Like, you got to put those things on a crazy diet. I'm like,
she's pregnant.
She needs a lay. Like, she's full of eggs. I'm not one for confrontation, so I just don't think I responded.
No, he's not.
Positivity. But honestly, I really didn't expect anything to happen so quickly, which is it's definitely a good step. So the male's still separated right now. You know, she's been acting fine. She's been eating. So at this point, I think we're in the clear. She kept kicking out an egg here and there, and you know, so she definitely wasn't egg bound, because the thing is, like, you know, she would have gotten really lethargic, and like you would have known something was wrong right now.
Yeah, right. But that's also just a big fear of, like you said, like that just happens with monitors. Like, and that's something you don't know until you find, you don't know until you know, right? Like, you won't know until she's gravid and literally she gets fucking eggs stuck in her. And wow, I mean, like, not only the investment side of it, but just like a monitor's like your goddamn, it's like a dog.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's like, you know, talking to Andrew is like, you know, if you need to get, you know, these eggs surgically removed, she'll probably never breed again. And I'm just like, I don't really care.
Yeah,
you know, it would be great for her to breed, but I don't want to lose the animal. Like, she's, you know, she's incredible, and I love the enclosure that we built for her, and it's just, you know, it's a centerpiece of that room. So, you know, I'm freaking out a crocodile. Knock on wood that she's fine. But,
which one did you freak out? Who did you just freak out?
One of the morlets, like, where's the food, bitch? So.
Oh my God, I'll never forget how scared. I mean, dude, honestly, like, I mean, I'm like I said, I don't know when I talked about this, but I was like, I mean, if I were to like pick my main herping spot, like for instance, everyone's main herping spot for your real herper is what? Australia, right? You'd want to go to Australia. That's the cream of the crop. Me, Indonesia. Show me the Timors. You know what I mean? But that's also because they don't have spiders that are this big. They don't have like, there's just things in Australia that,
Indo and New Guinea, I would be way more scared to go there than.
Just don't tell me that, or else I'm not going to go. Please, we already got a trip planned out.
We're headhunters there, man. You want to end up with your head on a stick?
You know why I'd rather go to Indo though? Is it's not as dry and hot. I'd rather be humid, hot, and wet. Fuck it. You know what I mean? We're gonna be commandoing it. We're gonna have army gear. We're gonna meet up with the homie Juan. He shit's like military. All his homies like military. We're in a safe place.
Yeah.
We're gonna have fun. And then we have Socrates, who's gonna lead the platoon. So we have, okay, so check this out. We have a plan of hopefully Indonesia plan. We're gonna go pick Timors and scrubs out of the wild and fucking get major content. We have Steven, we have myself, we have Andrew, and then we have Socrates, who is fucking fucking ranger and all sorts of crazy shit in the Marines. I don't even want to say what he was because it's super DL, but listen, he got our back. And then we have the homie Juan, who's the native, or native, local, whatever. He's not native. Native is, I don't know.
He's from there.
These cushy bears are kicking in, bro. But anyways, but yeah, dude, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to that because I ain't never done a trip like that in my entire life, bro. And I would only want to do it if I had a crew like that. That's it, period. I mean, I can't do it by myself, or, you know, no offense, not with Lily, because I mean, I'd be down to go to Lily, like to go do something with Lily, but we wouldn't go herp. You know what I mean? We'd be dead. We'd be fucked. We need a crew. We need a solid ass foundation. We need a crew. I'm sure Des needs a role too. There's no way Des is just gonna let us roll without her.
I told her when you told me the idea, and she's like, I'm there. I'm like, I had a feeling that would be what you said. So.
Des is no longer getting left behind on any trips. She's rolling on everything now.
She's going to be diving on the ground after Timor pythons and shit. And
we're going to be wrestling for Timors. And then I guarantee she's the first one to get hurt. And then I'll get hurt. Because we'd be going too hard. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's you guys are act first, think second. Which I respect to a degree because I'm not like that. So.
Oh, shit. All right. So check it out. Timors, we share that obsession. Timors, you've been keeping Timors for longer than I thought, because you have. Let's see, where's your Timor pick? I got a Timor pick, but your first Timor was back home, right? You mean you got them in Chicago, right? Yeah.
Okay. I assumed you were gonna put a picture up.
I'm looking for. I don't know where the hell it's at. I just. But go ahead and keep talking. So
So I got my first Timor python back. I think it was also 2016. It was October. It was like right after October Tinley 2016.
Okay.
That was like about the time when I was like really getting serious.
Yeah, when you get a Timor, it's fucking serious.
Yeah, it was like at the same table that's where I got my southern white lip pythons. And if anybody knew today what I paid for them, they would. I mean, they probably never talk to me again. So,
or like your Moluccan that was fucking not labeled a Moluccan, and it turned out to be a Moluccan. How about that one?
Yeah, that was a once in a lifetime kind of find right there.
But that's what this is all about. You get, bro. Everyone gets fucking come ups like that in this industry, bro. If you're looking and you're active in this shit, oh, bro, you could find it. Oh, you could find it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I miss shows, bro. Shows is where it's at. You know what I mean? If you know what day to go look for it, if you got the plug on things, like, bro, I know you're gonna miss Dan Murray, bro. I know you're gonna miss Dan.
Yeah, I was at one show that I saw his booth at, so I picked up a scrub from him that day.
You, Pomona, you picked up quite a bit of shit from him, didn't you? I mean, because remember we linked up at Pomona, and you picked up what did you pick up? I could have sworn you got some heat at Pomona.
I did, but I only got one from him. So I got a male Maruki,
Right.
very, very nice, really orange. He's actually breeding right now. And I got two adult females there. One was the barneck that laid our clutch last year, and one is that big, like 12, 13 foot Maruki that male is currently paired up with. So,
wow,
yep,
crazy.
It was because at that point I didn't have any big scrubs. That male was like probably 7 foot, maybe was the biggest. Messing with these big ones, I'm just like, they're gonna be this big at some point anyway. So fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, and you've already been working with your hatchlings and raise ups and whatnot. So I mean, I'm
not gonna lie, seeing that big one come out of the bag for the first time was really intimidating. I was like, it was mean too. She was a bitch. I'm just like,
yep.
Oh, okay. What have I got myself into? So
yeah. I'm not, bro. Honestly, I got I've seen my first big scrubs ever, and I mean ever, with Steven, hands down. And then shortly after that, I got a fucking sick ass scrub, that nice ass one I got from Joe, the big female who's only eaten a couple times, and I feel like she's pregnant, but whatever, probably not. But anyway, bro, she owns me, bro. She owns the living shit out of me. She fucking knows it. Bro, it's intimidating, bro. Like, it's intimidating. And like, she's the type where, okay, like, you can start handling her, but you know, they do that thing where they come back up and they come straight for your face. Like, they're just like, and like most huh? Yeah, the scrub spin. Yeah, there's the scrub spin. Okay, pull out a scrub. That's good. I want a scrub. Scrub time. Scrub time. Pull out a scrub. You're scrub king. Here we go. Scrub time. All this scrub talk, and we haven't seen a scrub yet. I want to see a scrub. Scrub time. You know, this is going to do a show and tell, because this is scrub king. Let's see. Ooh, what does he got? Malukin? Oh, let's see.
Sure do. One of the many that was on the thumbnail. So this is the one that MJ was telling the story about, how it was picked up off a table at Arlington unlabeled. It was a little gray neonate pre-first shed, which is actually very interesting because historically Moluccans are known to be red as neonates, as a lot of other scrubs are. But this one was pretty grayish brown. But I just saw that the transition of the pattern from this kind of like dorsal stripe, pretty patternless on the sides, to that kind of like marbled almost of that where the purple comes in on the tail. So took a shot at it.
Wow.
I was kind of convinced that it wasn't actually a Moluccan. And then once I got here to Indy, a few sheds later, I'm like, that thing's getting gold. And I think we can pretty definitively say that this is a class of lepus. So yeah.
Oh my!
These are my enjoy these snakes. My favorite reptile species in the world.
Male or female?
This is the male.
That's the male. Okay, and it's about what, 3?
2 inch range, 2.5 maybe. Yeah.
And then they have the OCC like snakes too. Is that what they? I mean, do they have the? You call that the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, is it as long of a process as a chondro, or is it kind of like, do they go pretty quick?
I mean, well, you know, it's hard for me to say with the Moluccans because I've only ever seen one go through the ontogenic. Well, actually, that's not totally true. The other ones I got were kind of had a baby coloration. They were already kind of partway through it. I would say by the time they're about 2 years old, they're going to have the gold. And some of them seem to dull out a little bit with age. So they seem to be their goldest from like 2 to 4.
But when you swooped this one up, it was more brown, right? Or I mean, was it
like brown grayish?
Like you had to really know what a Moluccan looked like in order to kind of see that it was going to be Moluccan, correct?
It was the way that the pattern changed from the front part of the body to the back part of the body. That's what, like, to me, why I thought that was, and the fact that it doesn't have a bar neck. So
right. Oh yeah.
So the what it would closely look like, and what I was actually told it was at one point, was a Wamina. Wamina types have a very light bar neck, and this had no bar neck whatsoever. So that was part of the reason why I saw this animal and also thought it was a Moluccan.
So Waminas also have a they have a signature tongue, right? Is it supposed to be pink or black?
Pink. Yep.
Okay.
And this has a Moluccan, indigo blue, dark blue tongue.
Oh, that thing is that right there, cream of the crop of scrubs.
I agree.
Can you get the bigger one out? Is that possible? Can we up
it? It's in shed, but we'll take a look at it.
All right. Let's see a little step up. So he's going to pull another Moluccan. He has many, bigger size. And then we're going to talk about, more about Moluccans, because I have questions for Steven about Moluccans. Now, if any of you are just curious what a Moluccan scrub python is, I highly suggest, you research it, because that is literally like the Ferraris of the scrub species, period. I'm telling you, it's gorgeous. I feel like scrubs are getting more popular too, because they're awesome. They are awesome.
So this is the first one that I ever got. Another male. He's deep in shed right now, but he's probably 3.5 years old now, getting on to 4. Probably about 6-7 foot long, about the size of eating large rats. And I don't really know what all to say other than these are my favorite reptiles, total, period. Just that gold coloration on them, I feel is unmatched.
That thing is fire, bro. Like,
this is the worst this snake will ever look to. So, this is it looking its absolute worst. It's deep in shed. So
that looks like a sunset scrub.
A little bit, right? Yeah, this one was very gold and then kind of browned out on the dorsal a little while ago, but definitely still has that gold down near the ventral. All
right, so Steven, I want to just talk to you about some stuff, because I'm not kidding, bro. These Moluccans are just something else, right? And obviously they're really hard to breed. Like, they're not something that there's not like a list of people who are fucking producing Moluccans. Am I right?
No. They've been produced less than Bolin's pythons.
Okay. And do you recall the last successful production of a Moluccans in the United States that you recall?
The United States was probably Chad Gray. I think that was like 4 years ago. He had one viable baby.
Out of how many eggs?
I don't know. And then before that, Anthony Caponetto did it, I want to say in like the early to mid 2000s. So, probably getting on 15 years ago. They've been produced once in Canada, I believe, which was a Hedazanthic clutch. I know Yasser produced some Hedazanthics as well. I think even before Anthony Caponetto. I also could be wrong on that. And they've been produced in Europe a couple of times as well.
So, I mean, what is it you think? I mean, obviously you have them. You're not scared of fucking failing because you got them. I mean, you got them and you got them. Let me just say he has them. He has the most impressive Moluccan scrubs I've ever seen.
Oh, I appreciate that.
I'm just getting I'm getting super pumped up because I've seen it, Steven. And honestly, I'm talking about a fucking scrub head that's as big as my hand. I'm not joking. That right there, so cute compared to what else I've seen that Steven keeps. But anyways, I'm just saying, very impressive. But what is it that makes you confident? Or maybe just like, I don't know, like what's the passion behind the Moluccan project?
That they're my favorite.
Okay.
And I love them. And they're the best. I really, from a breeding perspective, I have absolutely zero confidence in our plan because we have really nothing to base it off of and nothing to really say that anybody who produced them before didn't just produce them on a fluke. And that's not to take anything away from anyone who's done it before, because breeding them is a huge, huge, huge accomplishment. But there hasn't been anybody who's done it consecutively, to my knowledge. And obviously would love to make that a reality. The thing about Moluccan pythons is in the wild, they experience absolutely no seasonality. Where they come from, it's like the same day every freaking day.
Which is humid and
hot and humid, like 78 to 82 and humid. Like that's.
So they don't get 90 or anything like that. They don't. I mean, they might have maybe a hot day.
Well, you know, if they find the right rock that's in direct sunlight, you know, they'll get there. But like, you know, if you look on the weather, you know, like weather maps of motherfucker. All right, well, it has the chair now of, you know, Ambon and Ceram, where they come from, or this the Maluku archipelago. It's a very constant place from a weather perspective. So temp cycling really should do nothing. It should be a non-factor. And then with any python, you know, food cycling is the way that we're going to do it. So
yeah,
you know, we're just going to keep trying, hopefully get lucky. And if we get lucky, hopefully we can repeat it and maybe get away from luck and more to knowing what we're doing. So
I'm glad you brought up cycling and whatnot, because holy shit. I mean, I've had conversations with Barczyk about how he feels food cycling is very important to a successful breeding season, making sure your females go for you and whatnot. And then who the fuck did we have on Unfiltered and just shattered everything that means anything? And he was being real. He wasn't fucking, wasn't faking it. He feeds
Mike Lehman with those freaking Timor pythons feeds the shit out of them.
But he also does. Okay, Mike Lehman also has a ball python collection of 8,000. He has 8,000 ball pythons. 8,000. Feeds this living shit out every single one of them.
Yeah,
and he fucking pumps out snakes like it's nothing. But I mean, what is that? You really feel like that's just him and he gets lucky with it, or where are we at with that?
No, I mean, to run the scale of the gourmet rodent, there is no luck involved. That is years and years of proving your strategy and you know, turning it into a system that you can plug and play anybody into. Because, you know, I mean, we talked to Mike and he does a lot, but obviously he can't run the entire operation of the gourmet rodent. So he's not cleaning every tub, he's not breeding every snake. And like they said, they're not hiring reptile people there. So they needed to make a system to where it's like you're just hired for a job and this is what you do and you get your training and this is what it is, but you happen to be breeding ball pythons.
Right.
So there is no luck at all with that. That is all, you know, proven strategy. This snake is really giving me a run for my money. This is annoying.
She's in shit. Want to put her back? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's all wrapped around the chair. It was wrapped around the wheel of the cart. Like,
just let go, bro. Just let go. At this point, you just let go.
I did already, and it got even worse. All right, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We're going to roll you over to your tub.
By the way, scrubs are so strong, guys. Like, they're fucking goddamn rock muscle.
The only strong snake is a poplin python.
I was going to say, okay, Apadores, right? That might be the only one that might take the scrub in an arm wrestling contest if there was one.
I mean, the true winner of that is the green anaconda. They're definitely the strongest snake in the world.
The white lips too, bro. Jesus Christ, the white lips could squeeze the shit out of something, bro. I don't think
they hit really hard with white lips.
Damn, they do.
They're mad at their food.
They're mad at everything, bro. They're just pissed off snakes. Like, you know, even a calm one, if you go like this to it, it's gonna hit you. It's gonna hit you. Like, they don't like anything going in front of them at all. And if you know how to handle them, meaning just like don't just get their face away from anything that's going like this, you're good. You know, like I don't know. I've come a long ways with my group, and the most two recent adults I inquired happened to just be localities, and they're chill as fuck. Like they're really, really chill. They're nothing like the, I guess, northern types I have in. But yeah, man. I mean, you have southerns and you have northerns, right, Steven?
Yep, we got both species.
And you southerns have, you know, those are obviously snakes that go back to the Chicago days and whatnot. Those are like pioneer species that you've kept. You've only tried pairing white lips, and I'm not the southerns, but the northerns once, right? You
so
gave it.
This is year 3 trying them. I don't think I have them in big enough tubs. I had them in cages back in Chicago, and they were very stressed out in cages.
Is that visibility wise? You think the fact that they could just see shit?
They're very hyper reactive,
right?
And I just, you know, again, it's an individual animal basis. I just feel that they're more well suited for tubs. It's like, you know, indigo snakes are that same way, where they're twitchy and they're looking around, and you know they're fast and they're jumpy. Where, you know, and like these two that we have paired up in this tub right now, if they were in a cage, they'd probably be freaking the fuck out, paired up, and might start going after one another. So, and white lip pythons are that same way. So now they're in CB70 tubs, which for one white lip python I think is okay. For 2 white lip pythons, it's freaking cramped. So they're going to go into some of these ARS BOA series tubs here as soon as a couple of them are opened up. We're getting some cages built for the scrub pythons. So soon, every scrub python in here will not be in here anymore.
Right. Now, are you going to have, I can't remember if we spoke about this, but are you trying to have like a scrub room, like a scrub like facility type thing?
So yeah, we have this log cabin here on the property, and that's going to be the scrub python building.
But you're also going to have your basins and some emeralds in there, and you'll also have like those like a lot of stuff for quarantine in there, right?
No, so that type of stuff is going to be in here. This will be cool. Like tree boas and the colubrids. This is like everything else. You know, depending on how much room there is after all the scrubs are set up, we may put like Apodora, Glasses, you know, related things, but it'll be the building will be centered around scrub python breeding.
Right. Okay.
And then this will be more like arboreals. All the colubrids will be in here. We'll put the mangroves and the tiger rats and big tall enclosures. And we're probably gonna have a wall of monitor cages in here too, because we have more monitors than fit in our current monitor room. So
many rooms, so little time.
Yeah.
Fuck, bro. I can't wait.
There's a lot of reptile rooms.
I thrive. And honestly, you got to be careful to thrive for problems like this. But I go and see Steven and Desiree's problems, and I want them. I want those kind of problems. I don't, but I do. Because it's just like, man, I see what you guys do. It's so rewarding. I know it's how much work it is, how much stress it is. Like, you got to understand, everything you guys see on the other end, it's so much day in, day out work. It doesn't stop. I asked Steven, I think one time, do you have a day off? And I was referring to the gym, and he had like this really weird psychotic laugh because he thought I really meant like day off. And he's like, day off. I was like, no, I was talking about the gym. You're like, oh yeah, I take a rest at the gym. Yeah. Fuck, Steven, you're too much, bro.
Yeah. I'm actually, you know, I'm lucky enough to where come the weekends, I really don't do that much. Like, I'm not cleaning tubs, and, you know, I'll probably be here for 3-4 hours a day, but that's mostly just, you know, checking on whoever's here, making sure that the day's structured right, you know, checking on a pair or two if need be, or if there's something small to do. But I definitely try to take my weekends to decompress a little bit. And I think since I've been doing that, I'm infinitely more productive the other days. So
yeah, man, because let's talk about what you started implementing in the last couple months that's kind of been helping you, and that's working out, right? Like, you started going back into the gym and
yeah.
like started getting that routine. Actually, longer than a couple months. You were already doing. I mean, I went to go visit you in October or December.
Yeah, that's about when I went back. Was like September, probably later September. You know, it had been a habit that I'd had for a long time. And then once I moved here, you know, the goal was for that to stay. And then I quickly realized, yeah, I'm not going to ever see that place.
Nope.
So yeah, I stopped working out for like probably 8-9 months, and then started up again for a month, and then I had to stop, and then COVID happened, and I couldn't if I even wanted to, other than at home. But I wasn't, you know, I was in a bad frame of mind too. I wasn't going to do it, and then I basically had to force myself to get back. And I knew once I made that habit form again, or just reinvigorate that, I wouldn't stop. So definitely a huge help mentally and physically. So
yeah, I bet. All right, we're super inspired and motivated basin wise from the same person, one of the heaviest of the heaviest, and you have one of the heaviest of the heaviest. God damn it. Whew. Heat. Let's talk about the basins, man, because you do have a male and you have a female now, right?
We do have one of each.
Oh my god, can't get over it. Yeah, this is straight merino bloodline in Reptek's collection.
So that one's from Steve Volk. That's the female, and she's been here a couple years predating me. But I mean, this, she's phenomenal. I still gain some white on every single shed. I mean, you can't see the neck too great right now, but she definitely has that snowflaking, that like kind of blurred, expanding dorsal stripe on her neck. So with the male that we got from Ed back in the fall, it's definitely a pair that we are extremely excited about. Obviously, it's still a few years out from anything materializing, but just that we have the animals here and that we have the vision and we're working towards it is just very exciting.
Yeah, so the build-up, right? This is not the Ed Marino's bloodline. This one is.
Yep.
Sick that is. Look at the yellow, bro. Like, look. I mean,
we had to pry that one from his hands because
this is more of a
yellow. I'm gonna keep it. And we're just like, please don't. So
this is more of a textbook, high-quality basin was what you see right here, right? Like, this is, if you want a basin, this is what you're shooting for when it comes to a basin for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you look at this, you don't see basins like this. You don't. Not with this kind of.
Ed posted one up recently that looks very, very similar to this one. I mean, it seems like captive bred emerald tree boas, I'm saying that as a generality, caninus and basi. We'll develop some more yellow pigmentation a generation or two in. We have some northerns that have some really, really cool yellow highlights on them. Nothing like that animal, though.
Des is calling executive decision. She's saying, go pull it out.
Okay.
She's saying, go get it, Kush. Go get it, Kush. When I first read that, I thought you meant like, go get it in life, Desiree. My bad. But you meant the animal. Go get that shit, Kush. Show that basin. Show them what another stunner's all about. I'm telling you, man. This is the dream of reptile keeping. Right here, what you're about to see.
Here he is. So this is our male Amazon basin from Ed Marino himself. And so you can see that snowflake influence is heavy on it, but it just has that really cool yellow coloration. Honestly, the lighting in here is doing this animal no justice at all. In the right light, like you can kind of see it right over here. There's some like powdered blue down near the ventral. A lot of white in this snake. So yeah, this is definitely one of the more unique basins I've seen. Definitely one that we're extremely privileged to have in the collection, and very grateful that Ed let us take this one. So this thing is incredible.
And then how old is that one, Steven?
It's like a year and a half.
Wow, really? That's
Young.
pretty big. That they grow pretty fast then, like as far as Amazon basins, because I have some that are a little bit about 2 years old, and they're not growing as big. I think it just depends, right? Because
basins and northerns are different. Of course, basins have a much larger adult size than northerns, so inevitably they're going to have a faster growth rate. Also, with emeralds, you're either having wild caught individuals or babies. Most of the time, babies born from a gravid export female, where they just may not grow as well, or not as well, but not as quickly as a captive bred, and especially not like a multiple generation captive bred. So this is a species difference too.
Now, I mean, now that we're on the subject, as far as on Amazons and the emeralds, right? I mean, we've had plenty of guests on Unfiltered talk about, you know, like for instance, we just had James talk about crypto and Nido and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Have you like taken extra precaution, or I mean, do you even recommend people take extra precaution with getting your stuff tested? Or like, you know, if someone's trying to figure out how do I get my stuff self-tested or stuff tested, what steps should they take, if you don't mind breaking that down?
I mean, so different viruses and diseases have different means of testing. With Cryptosporidium in particular, which is what will plague most emerald tree boas, it's a gastrointestinal issue. It's not respiratory. So inevitably it's much more difficult to test for in a living specimen, and in a fresh dead specimen, it's if you have the right equipment, you know, the right labs doing it, you know, they're going to get that test right. It also depends on when it's shedding, when the load is heaviest in the animal. So you can get a negative crypto test, does not necessarily mean that the animal is in fact negative. Same works with IBD. The virus shedding pattern of IBD is, you know, it's weird. There's been a lot of study done on IBD, and there's still a lot of questions with it. But back to the crypto discussion with emerald tree boas, you know, that's what the chronic regurgitation syndrome, that thing that is seen in emerald tree boas, has been for a long time, that can be caused by a multitude of issues. One of the primary ones being seen right now is as a result of Cryptosporidium. And at this point in time, with an emerald, it's a death sentence, unfortunately.
Right.
So really the way to avoid it is responsibly sourcing your animals. With basins, because there is no export on basins, really it's not, the issue would not be the basin having crypto, and I'm speaking as a generality as this guy climbs on the computer. It would be you introduce a basin to a collection of emeralds that unknowingly has crypto, the basin catches it, regurge, dead. So that would be the big concern. If you're buying captive bred from, you know, the really handful of reliable sources, which at this point for northerns, I would say Ryan Willison, Warren Booth, Keith McPeak.
Yeah.
Hopefully us if we get a litter and decide to sell any.
Where'd that fucking snake go?
It's
on the computer.
If I can do this, you guys can. Nope, not gonna work. Yeah, it's just hanging on the computer screen.
All right, cool. As long as you so, the one thing you don't want to lose track of, please.
Yeah, no, it's right here. But it just comes down to sourcing your animals, and then also you got to look at what the person is also keeping. And you know, they could have a huge collection, but maybe their basins are isolated, or their emeralds are isolated from anything else, really. And then is that same person dealing with imports? If they are, is it at the same facility? And, you know, you ask anybody, hey, is your stuff clean? They're not going to come back and be like, no, I wouldn't buy from me. So, you just gotta, you know, make a judgment call on it. I just listed the 3 names that I would buy a northern emerald tree boa from. Right. And really outside of that, I probably would not buy a northern emerald tree boa. Also, we have a pretty good collection of them right now. We have 10 adults. So we don't need any more northern emerald tree boas. And even buying one from one of those 3 guys, I would be comfortable with that. But introducing new animals into our collection would jeopardize those, because these things are, you know, they can hide for a long time. So this animal can appear healthy for a very long time. Yeah. Something like move or breeding can trigger that chronic regurgitation because of that underlying issue, and it's pretty viral. So emeralds are one of those where it is a long game. If you try to spare expense, you will lose your animals more likely than not. But if you buy them from the right sources, you know, quarantine, keep a close eye on the animal, test where applicable, and keep a small, high-quality collection. They're incredible animals they're very hardy as adults if they're healthy. Same with green tree pythons. If a green tree python doesn't have nidovirus, it's an easy snake to take care of. But if it has this virus that is compromising its immune system, then you see all the issues that have historically gone down with green tree pythons. So it's understanding the healthy animals from the unhealthy animals. There's the basin. See it?
Yeah, I see some scale. Got it. Still here.
Pretty funny.
I mean, like the heartbreak is just as big, if not, it's the same, if not just as big with chondros, right? I mean, we're talking about emeralds, but you know, with chondros, that's kind of, I mean, we've heard like we've not last night it went with James, but we've heard with people who kind of, we've heard on this channel, Cody's told us how his whole collection got wiped out from chondros. And there's people, you know, there's people who are getting more into chondros. Man, chondros are getting popular, bro. I'm like big. And a lot of ball python people, I'm telling you, since I started this podcast, I've had so many people come to me saying, I'm going to start getting chondros. I'm going to start getting chondros. You know, and I feel like a lot of people just kind of like, you know, like myself, you know, when I first started getting chondros, man, I just jumped right into it. And that's when I found out about the fucking nido and everything like that. But
yeah, the positive these days is that it's so well known, and so many of the breeders are very proactive about it that in the right circles with the right people, it will become a non-issue quicker than you probably think, just because people are testing the animals they're testing them before they arrive. They're testing them in quarantine, out of quarantine, and post-quarantine. You know, even babies from positive animals, as we know now, are negative unless they're exposed to other positive animals. So where it doesn't penetrate that egg, where, you know, at this point in time, building a healthy, strong green tree python collection is a very, very achievable goal, which is great because it's not quite so easy with emerald tree boas. You know, I know a lot of people who do their due diligence very, very well with the nidovirus with green tree pythons, and it's admirable, really, because they're maintaining these designer lines that could have been lost with the nidovirus epidemic, really. And they've found the negative animals or then offspring from those positive animals, compiled these collections, made sure they stayed healthy, and now are producing incredible designer green tree pythons that are all nidovirus negative. So chondros have a really good upside now, I think more than ever, especially now that the whole, oh, it died, it's just the chondro, is out of the picture. It's no, these things don't just die. They had this virus, and it all came to a head in about 2016, and many, many, many people lost majorities of their collections, and it wasn't their fault. It just wasn't known yet.
Dude, think about the people who got served a shit hand and took people's collections over and had no idea that they were fucked. I'm not gonna say any names.
It's no fault of the people, because how the hell could they have known?
It's also case by case on certain stories. Just saying, we don't know that yet. Won't get into it. JS. And I'm not saying
we're here.
And I'm saying JS when I say just saying, not Joe Zwitalski. That's not what I'm saying. Anyways,
I mean, we're not here to nitpick like that, but we're here to say that it's not over, but it can be over for you, green tree python keeper X out there, where you do the fish head tests, you do the RAL tests, and you bring in positive animals if you have, you bring in negative animals if you have positive animals. You isolate them, take all the proper steps to work that group less, use different equipment, have them have them at a different place. Like, you know, you know, never mind, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to talk about anybody else.
Say that again? Huh?
I'm not going to talk about anybody else.
Can we call it like okay? So
I'll talk about us then. We have an area where we'll put animals that we're skeptical of or animals that have tested positive. So, you know, we have an area where that's their end. That's where they're going to be. And it is in a different building, a different side of the property. Like, it is isolated from these other animals. And, you know, it doesn't get worked as much. Those animals, unfortunately, are not a priority to us, but they are still breeding, and their offspring can still be a huge part of the future of our green tree python collection and of other people's. But, you know, we need to treat them a certain way because of this condition. So, and a lot of people follow the same method.
Because you've also lost animals yourself to Nido,
Yeah.
And that's just the kind of truth that you're explaining right now, basically. And that's why you do everything in your power to make sure that doesn't repeat. You know, and
it's still weird. We don't know anything about it. We've never had a positive Nido test from anything that's not a green tree python. So, which is another piss off the Crocs, knock on wood moment. You know, it's not like this is a green tree python only thing. It was really, really huge in ball pythons in like the 90s, early 2000s. A lot of collections were getting hit big by what was it was known to be nidovirus at the time. Burmese pythons, a combination of the whole constrictor ban and nidovirus. They were everywhere, and now not a lot of people have Burmese pythons, which you could argue maybe that, you know, it's better that not everybody has a Burmese python, but for the animal's sake, it's terrible that so many were lost that way. So
yeah,
with any of these diseases, it seems like there's certain animals that it hits harder than others, but it's not like they can't all carry it and not be that vector to transmit it to that group of green trees, emeralds, geckos, vipers, whatever it may be.
Now, I mean, we could
take that real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, because I want to get into the chondras. I want to get into some chondro talk, because this is getting great, man. We're talking about the things I love that Steven and Desiree keep, and, you know, Steven could just talk forever, and I'm going to use that to my advantage for the show, for you guys. I'm glad you guys are here, man. I'm having a great time. These cushy bears are super heavy. I don't know if I should have another one. Probably not.
I need you to stay with me, man.
Wait, what'd you say?
I need you to stay present here. Those cushy bears are taking me into outer space.
I'm always present, bro. No such thing. I'm gonna do another one now because you said that.
It's always what happens. Maybe the responsible friend will be like, I'm gonna do more anyway. Fuck you. I'm like,
no, these are very powerful, like super powerful.
I know the type of stuff that you smoke, and I would be in the emergency room, so I give you credit.
But you know, hey, just to capitalize on that, fuck your old homies who got you so stoned that now you don't even know.
Homies, the fuck you talking about?
Old homies.
They weren't even homies then.
Well, you were kicking it with them.
Yeah, I mean, it was a mistake.
Circle. You're kicking it with them. That's the ex.
No, it worked for us.
You thought they were homies. You thought they were cool.
I knew they weren't.
Okay. And that's probably why they got you so.
Oh yeah, it was intentional. They fucked me up intentionally, but we're not going to talk about that.
Set yourself up, Kush. Damn it. Anyway,
it's 2020. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so localities. There's a shit ton of chondro localities, right? I mean, we could.
Sure.
I mean, there's still some that are popping up, and I'm like, what? But there's just some that really, all localities matter. But man, Kofia Island, right? Like, this is something I really love that you guys keep. What's breeding right now? Like, I know you have some projects going on. Things are looking good. I can't recall what the locality projects are. I can't recall if this is one of them or if this is a raise up. So just go ahead.
So that there is our adult female Kofio.
Okay.
We have a pair of pure imported captive hatch Kofios. So that's the female. That is the one chondro pair that I'm not super sure on this year. They haven't locked. And when they were paired up, they didn't show a whole ton of interest. I don't think the female fed up enough to the season. She's eating great now, but like in October and November, she wasn't eating quite as well as I would have liked her to.
Right.
I just think she had that body condition that she needed where that would kick in the follicular development. But we do have the designer pairings, the other ones we're doing that I think are both pretty hopeful at this point. So the one is, it's back in the background over here. But it's the Maniquari Lyra cross male, which is my first green tree I got. He's right there. And then the female, who is right there, is one that Des and Forrest produced back in 2014. It was it was lemon canary to canary biak.
Wow.
Which produced that almost solid yellow male. So that's a sibling to him, who was a much more green with a really cool yellow mask and some like yellow modeling up the side. She's a very cool snake. So honestly, that pair was more just because they were close to each other and they were the only ones we could pair. Could get some cool tri-stripe out of it for sure. So, but you know, hopefully in coming years we can put her with a more genetically potent male.
I like that, genetically potent, dude. Where the fuck do you get this vocabulary from? This one's been spitting the sickest vocabulary since I fucking met him. Oh my god, I'm sorry, that was sick. I know I'm not that high, but listen, that was sick as fuck, bro.
Appreciate it.
Potent.
The last pair we have is that male, that really yellow lemon canary biak, with an undocumented female. Again, another case of that was just the only breedable female in his area. But from a male like that, any offspring is going to be incredible, and the genetic potential is going to be great. So that just outcrosses the blood to where you're adding more strength to it. So yeah, we're planning on upping the chondro game a little bit here in the coming years. So
last year was a silent one. You guys, you know, you had other focuses.
Yeah, last year was a big down on green tree pythons, which you know you need those to keep you balanced, kind of keep you in check. Make sure your ego's not getting the best of you.
You need those James O Earp episodes, basically.
Yeah, you need your snake's dick to get ripped off to realize, hey, I'm not a professional.
Truth, bro. Truth. Imagine pairing up chondros and you're like, oh shit.
Not even just chondros, like your dream pairing. Like the way you've always wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly. Your dream pairing. Good. Yeah, good fix. Your dream pairing. You go in there and do what you're supposed to do because we're slaves to the animals, and you see dirt, you see shit in the water. Of course, you're going to just say, fuck, I'm not going to wait on that. I need to get that water cleaned. He opens up the glass to change the water. The female freaks out, takes off, and rips the dick off. Rips the male's dick off. The dick got ripped off.
Only green tree pythons. That would only happen with green tree.
You believe that? The dick got ripped off. The dick was out. The hemipedes were just like, bro, I would freak out. I would freak the fuck out. Imagine.
At least snakes got two, you know.
And then he had another story when the oviducts, like the fucking egg, like something when the eggs that were like.
Yeah, she prolapsed the oviduct with the eggs inside. Yeah, I mean.
Dog, I'm telling you, bro. Like, you guys
that's
think.
Green trees for you, man. They'll fucking ruin your life if you don't expect it to get ruined. If you expect it to get ruined and then you're ruined, you're like, well, I knew this was coming. So
yeah. So it's pretty nuts.
Green trees are great to keep, but they're a bitch to breed.
I'm gonna refer back to some of Kofi. I'll talk real quick. My man Will Morrows. So we got a big ball python hitter right here in the building because he also does keep blue tail monitors. Wait. Yeah, right. Blue tree monitors. My bad. So shout out to Will Morrows, but he has a question. So quick question: what percentage of the Kofias that you guys are keeping end up turning green? That's kind of a hard one to answer. But
well, I mean, you know, right now we only have the two, but I would say, in my experience and what I saw of their stuff before I got here, like 100. So getting that Kofia, that's going to stay yellow its whole life. You know, those are the rare ones. Stack. They have that kind of cool mustardy, like lime green, like the female that you showed. Like, you know, she's a very nice looking Kofia, but she's not yellow. She's like a green wash yellow. Where the male, he was that like holy fuck yellow, that like true canary yellow. And then like a year and a half ago, he started greening out a little bit, and now he has like these cool blue diamonds. He's a very cool looking snake, but he's just not solid yellow anymore. So, but there have been some over there that, you know, they're finding that canary phase other places too, not just on Kofiau. Right. So it's which then makes it like, well, shit, if you see this yellow imported green tree python, is it actually a Kofiau? I don't fucking know. I mean, you know, it's another case of if the parents that were farmed or the individual wasn't collected there, you can't say for sure. So, but if you pair some green Kofiaus that were labeled Kofiau, and you get those yellow offspring, that's a pretty good sign that those are actually truly Kofiaus. So,
true that.
Like Kofiaus have yellow only babies. So if you have red babies in there, it's like no Kofiau.
I'm gonna put up this. I think this is a lemon tree. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Des just shot me this.
That's the one we were talking about.
Right. Okay. Cool. Damn, that thing's so fire.
Yeah. I mean, and all those scales, like they're not green. They're blue. Like he does not have green. It's insane. I mean, that's really one of the nicest yellow chondros I've ever seen. It's incredible. So
and I will say, man, and I got to see this before it started turning green, but I mean, I don't care. It's still a sick ass snake. That the emerald chondro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oops. That thing was fire, bro. I mean, it's
a super unique neonate.
Very unique. Now it's just green. Now, I mean, it's not just green, but it still has all those unique little distinct patterns on its door.
It's green and has, you know, the blue diamonds. But what's really interesting is it has a lot of white flecking on it, which is indicative of the southern types, the actual viridis, which it has none of that influence. So I hope it keeps the spots. It looks really freaking cool, but no idea where it came from. I've lost track of all but one of their siblings, and it didn't have anything like that. So
okay. It's the funny thing with chondros, right? Nobody knows. Nobody ever fucking knows.
That's the fun part about it, and that's what gets frustrating. Especially like, you know, when you're working with high yellow is the easiest designer trait to reproduce the phenotype of. If you're working with blue line, I mean, you know, you're just setting yourself up for heartbreak, which, you know, I say that now, and, you know, the blue line stuff is incredible. And if you line it up right genetically, yeah, you can produce some blue offspring, but like, there's, you know, look at that clutch of those maroon babies. You don't know which one's going to be blue.
Yeah.
And if you don't keep all of them, you know, the darkest one may not be the blue one. It may have been that really basic one over there, and then solid blue adult. So it's the fun about it, but it's also the frustration of it.
All right. So frustration, drama, juicy stuff. Let's get into some stuff real quick. Can't run away from this one. I don't have Des, so you can't just leave. No, this is for you. Doesn't involve you. You know, I just need your, you know, shot, you know, real quick. I hope Conservation Carl's okay. Free Carl. I got some news that the Brazilian authorities got a hold of him. Like he did something like against some sort of law, but he's locked up right now. I heard he's locked up. Yeah.
No wonder I haven't heard from him for so long. I was enjoying the silence, to be honest with you.
Free Carl, man. Free Carl. Everyone needs to say free Carl.
Hashtag free Carl, man.
Hashtag free Carl, man. Because, man, we do miss his rants. They were solid. But maybe he comes out a new man. Who knows? Not that he needed to be a new man, but, you know, who knows what's going to happen. Carl's locked up in a third world country. And, yeah, man, free my man Carl. But anyways, I'm not asking for you to kind of get in a Carl vibe, but I do want your insight on what Carl would look into this like, because it's brought up. Sometimes it gets brought up and then it disappears, but now it's brought up again. And I'm talking about bioactive setups, man. The bioactive, right? There's a lot of people who are like fucking literally talking shit that, cool, you keep your fucking, you know, X, Y, and Z in a tub. You know, yeah, nice life you're giving it. Yada, 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 right? Because they feel like you need to put something in a naturalistic environment. And they're literally arguing the fact that an animal's better. And I'm not picking sides. Hold on, there's my energy, right? Hold on. I'm asking. So there's sides, or somebody or whoever feels that an animal should be in a naturalistic environment, even though that there's bugs and stuff that could come from the soil, which they say that happens. But in reality, realistically for you, Steven, what do you feel like with the bioactive setups, especially for somebody who's just getting into something, right? Like first chondro keeper or emerald keeper. And I'm just talking specifically of boreals in bioactives. You know, I know a lot of cool things can be kept in bioactives. I've seen it.
I mean,
we're talking about a good, successful less way to keep an arboreal snake?
Well, you know, I think at the end of the day, it just comes down to what fits what you do. We don't have anything right now set up bioactive, in the sense where there aren't like isopods and whatnot in the substrate. Will we do any bioactive? Yeah, probably. As far as putting like live plants and stuff in enclosures go,
Full bio.
it depends on the animal. Like if you put a Reptek in a bioactive enclosure, they'll destroy it in like 20 minutes.
Disgusting.
But like a green tree python or a palm viper or an emerald tree boa, some of these arboreals that are not quite so destructive, I mean, I believe that they could thrive. And could you say that they're better off in a bioactive? I'm not a snake. I don't fucking know. But I don't think there's anything that would indicate bioactive being worse than sterile, as long as you have a healthy animal. And even in that case, who's to say that a nidopositive chondro would do better sterile than bioactive? Doing a bioactive setup right takes a lot more knowledge and research than doing sterile right.
And maintenance.
Yes and no, because really the whole point of bioactive is if you set it up right up front, there's no maintenance at all.
Bro, that's where mites come from. I'm sorry. I feel like mites come from.
That's the thing. Like that, if you have mites in a bioactive setup, you're trashing the whole thing.
Right.
That's it. Fun. Yeah. And if somebody is at the point with their collection where maybe they're a closed collection now, or their quarantine is just down as good as it could possibly be, never seen mites in your collection, or if you have, it's been years, and you want to do bioactive and you're treating everything that's going in like you do it the right way, it would be incredible. It would be amazing to have something like that. But yeah, from that perspective, treating mites in a bioactive would be heartbreaking, because you basically have to tear up all the work you've done, or remove the snake for a while. And I've never done this before, so I couldn't tell you. But like, is there a way to do it? Maybe, but sure. that would suck. But as far as like better or worse, I don't think a snake would ever do worse in a bioactive. So,
I mean, I feel like it's definitely doable for one snake. You got the time and attention for it. Sure. If you pay attention to it, yeah, you could pull it off. Right. But like for it to just be the go-to route versus all these other options that you can do with less headache. Like I'll tell you right now, bro, I have pothos plants, one pothos plants in each of my chondro setups. A couple of them don't have them. You want to know why? Because these motherfuckers dig their face into it. They literally use their head as a shovel. And they just start shoveling that shit out.
Okay.
Like every fucking day, like every night. And I'm like, bro, this is a pain in the ass. Like, so a couple of them don't have the plant, because I'm not cleaning fucking dirt off their face and picking up the plant every fucking morning. No, thank you. You know what I mean?
For anybody who would not mind them digging their face, I don't think there's anything wrong with them digging their face.
I'm good.
If that doesn't work for you, then it just doesn't work for you. Like that's the thing. It's is a bioactive setup better? I don't know.
It's easier, not.
Well, it's harder to set up. It's easier to maintain. A lot more can go wrong, but if you do it right, you can prevent those things from going wrong. That's kind of what I'm saying. So, and a lot of people that'll promote this are usually like zoological professionals who have been professionally trained and have a lot of experience doing these bioactive setups. So that, for instance, the two guys off the top of my head that I'll name are Cody Bartolini and Nick Gordon. The enclosures that these two guys make are just phenomenal.
They're so good at
it. Because that's their profession. Like they do that professionally.
Really good at it. Like, I'm still dying to see Cody's fucking collection someday. Like that.
It's incredible. I mean, really, it's inspirational walking in there being like this level of organization and just like, how specific every setup is. Having the venom protocols on every enclosure, the whole thing on Reptiscan, like it's the standard. a standard that anybody who is keeping and is serious about it should strive to be like that, because he's doing the most for his animals that he has. He has a very good sized collection. It's not massive thousands of animals, but it's at the point where they can do it exactly how they want to, and every animal has its best chance of living, as fulfilling, if you want to say fulfilling of a life, but like that snake there is in very good hands. So something that, we're not there yet. I feel like we're trying to get there. And I feel like we've made great strides on it, improving our systems and all that. But having something like that to look up to is always a great, way to draw inspiration of not staying complacent, just keep improving on this, that, the other thing. So,
right.
That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I think, don't you think it's important that we all try to find something that we can improve personally, other than just change a water dish and fucking feed a snake? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a lot of, not hobby, but habits that we could implement that literally we could pass down. Because I'll tell you, this thing's all about passing down certain habits that obviously help people thrive. Like, that's what it's all about. And even the ones that don't thrive, share that story too, so people are aware of it, which shout out to Cody and people like James who fucking share all those stories that we get to, that a lot of other people don't have the balls to share. Like, the one thing that's not like in this industry now is information isn't hoarded as much. Some of it is, but for the most part, people share it and people kick it down. Like, one thing I do give props to JKR is like his content that he puts out still. And like, he fucking puts out, like, he tries to help people out as much as he can. And he's the #1 guy in the ball python game. He's #1. And he's still like fucking somebody who goes out of his way to try to help people as much as he can. But
I mean, I got a ton of respect for Justin and the way he has structured his business model. I was saying the other day to one of our guys here, and I'll say it now, is I feel like the two best marketers in reptiles are Justin Kabelka and Garrett Hartle. Like, these guys have taken I'm showing you this, I love this, you should love it too, and have communicated it so effectively to where they people will rally around them and their projects and become passionate about it because they were so good at portraying how they feel about it. So, I got a ton of respect for those two and what they've done. I mean, Garrett took super dwarf reticulated pythons, which maybe a few people knew about a few years ago, and now they're like the second most popular snake behind a ball python.
A lot of people who keep super dwarfs really understand Garrett Hartle, but I don't think a lot of other people understand how big of a player and boss Garrett Hartle really is in this industry for like super dwarf shit, and not only like just in general, period. Like, I mean, dude, fuck, shout out to Garrett Hartle, bro. The dude's sick as fuck, bro, and he's one of the homies. He
was just actually here, yesterday or something like that, or the day before.
Right.
So,
yeah. And you actually do keep a couple localities, like you have Halmahera.
Yes,
right?
We have a pair of Halmaheras, and we have one Kalatoa that comes from Garrett.
Right. What are your goals? What are your goals? Who are your mentors, Desiree? I love you, Des. No, what is the long-term plan with the Halmaheras? I mean, what are you looking to do with them? Obviously, freedom, but like, I mean, really, what are you looking to do?
The way I saw the Halmaheras, first, I didn't even know they existed until, was it like not this October, the previous was the last Tinley Park barbecue before COVID. Mm-hmm. Andrew was here and he pulled out this Halmahera Reptek. I'm like, that exists? Because, we're over here. Halmahera scrub pythons are one of my favorite animals. We have the tricolor monitor, which comes from Halmahera. And now there's this reticulated python, and it looks so different from all of the retics. I'm like, that's the coolest retic I've ever seen. And it's from a place where we have other reptiles from. So, that immediately drew me in. It's not a super dwarf. It's like a dwarf, they'll get 8 to 12 foot, which is not a small snake by any means. It's not a mainland giant. And these are F1 captive bred. So the way I look at it is this is a pure lineage of reticulated python that will only become, and this is from like a business side of things. We have the animals because I love them. They're incredible. And they're, I'm not a huge Reptek guy, but these things fascinate me. But from like the other side of it is these things they're unrelated to anything else in the hobby. That fact alone, because we can't get wild caught retics anymore, is only going to become more valuable every single year. So that pure locality blood will be, it'll be a dime a dozen at the rate that people are taking locality to morph, to try to make these little morph retics, which that's not my thing. If that's anyone else's thing, great. Yeah. But that's just not what I'm doing retics for. So, I really like the locality stuff, and I would love some Sulawesi's. They're not small; they're giants, but they're beautiful. I just want one or two giant ass Sulawesi's. So
no, you don't, Steven.
I do.
No, you don't. Unless you're really planning on finally finding some like 2 or 3 other Stevens, and you got that time, Steven. You know how hard it is for me to get rid of my retics. Do you realize
we have Des does a ton of stuff with the Reptile.
Bro, you don't have large retics, bro. Large retics are a different. Andrew and I've had this conversation for a long time.
I've worked large snakes before. I know the drill.
They are no joke, Steven.
I really appreciate the sentiment, but I know what I'm getting myself into.
All it takes is once. All it takes is one bite, bro. Shred, blood.
Okay.
Injured.
Okay, MJ.
Sorry.
We have crocodiles. Are you familiar with crocodiles?
Yes, bro, but that's like you knew some. It takes 2 people. Like, you're smart about a crocodile. All I'm saying is don't do it by yourself. Don't handle a big ass by yourself, please.
Okay. Everybody watching, if you have a snake that is over 10 feet long, get a second person. For every 5 feet of snake, add an extra person. For an 18-foot retic, 4 people.
Okay, but that's what you're gonna do then if you have them.
Yeah, we have 8 to 12 people working here at any given time, most of whom are into reptiles. So if it's for everyone, let's go take out the big retic, there would be a mob of people heading over to where that retic is. Oh, if it was just me, I would not have giant retics.
There we go. Woo, I feel better.
We have.
Am I doing the mature thing?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I'm explaining to you my thought process.
All right, go ahead. I'll shut up.
Which is yeah. It's like, how many am I saying to have? 1 to 2, not 40. I feel like that's as irresponsible as it can get with reptiles, but I'm not going to get there. 1 or 2 of these amazing pure locality big ass retics, and when it comes to working them, 4 people, 3 at the very bare minimum, will be there at any given time for the safety of the animal and for all the people involved. So, because with an animal like that, it's not venomous, but it is very, very, very dangerous if you don't take the right precautions and if you don't know that animal. And even if you know that animal, you don't take the risks that would implicate injury. You just have a better feel of what's going to happen as you are using your safe procedure. The same way with the crocodiles. Like, none of our big ones are friendly or calm, but let's say we had one that was more docile.
How about we tell a real life story that a 7-foot, not even an 8-foot retic did to somebody just recently in Indianapolis?
It wasn't here. I mean, I don't want to get too far. I don't want to get too deep into this, but in Indiana, like a 7-8-foot retic killed somebody.
Yes, we don't need names or anything, but it was literally just.
It was national news. And that's a retic. We have lots of snakes at this facility that are over that size. I mean, we have a ton of scrub pythons, and every single one of them will be that big or bigger. I mean, right now, when we work the big scrub pythons, other than the one super docile one that is my favorite snake ever, every single one of those big scrub pythons is worked with a second person, or it just doesn't happen. It's just that simple. if you're taking out a snake that's that big and that capable, there is a second person there. And if you are in a position where you can't have that second person, you should not have that animal.
Ship it.
It's just, I mean, it's one of those, you know, hard pills to swallow, but responsible keeping and really the lack thereof is a reason why we find ourselves in the constant battle of reptile keepers and animal rights groups. Is because, and with anything in life, they take the few instances of the people doing it wrong and project that image onto everyone is doing it right.
Yeah.
And as of right now, we have no way as the people doing it right to separate ourselves from the people doing it wrong, which lets us get lumped in with them. So it is very important. Like, you know, this right here is a great platform. Lots of other people have great platforms to present this message of, hey, this is not what we do. And what we're talking about here, this is advancing herp husbandry and protocols of dealing with these animals, because they're captive. You can't really say they're domesticated, but they're, you know, at least the captive bred ones aren't necessarily wild anymore. But you are still dealing with an animal that does not like your presence. They may tolerate it, but like, it's not a dog. Anyone who thinks that their bearded dragon is a dog, you're just, you know, you're wrong. Monitor lizards and tegus and stuff that, you know, I think those animals can enjoy that interaction. But if we're talking snakes, a snake doesn't enjoy interaction. They tolerate it at best. And many of them do tolerate it. So if you keep that to minimum, it's not going to bring any stress upon them. But right. I mean, everyone probably saw that video of the woman in the trap house, like not the snake trap, but like an actual trap looking house with the big 12-foot retic in like the 100-gallon glass tank where she opened it and the snake comes out in
like this. Fucking ready to eat,
and they're like, that is a feeding response from a species that has a notoriously very high feeding response. And she's like, oh, look at baby. And then boom, 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 boom. And she gets wrapped up by this 12-foot retic. And you're like, you fucking idiot. Look at the damn thing. It wanted to eat you.
Yeah.
What do? You grab your snake hook and go, no, I'm not feeding you. And the retic's dumb brain is like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, this isn't eating. Oh, okay. I get it.
Hook. Okay. Retics are not that smart. Anyone who thinks retics are smart, retics aren't smart.
Not
Sorry to bubble. Really,
they're muscle heads. They're just fucking super jock, like they're super all muscle.
Retic,
no break.
Retics may be smarter than green tree pythons, but retics are not smart snakes. But that video is then portrayed onto everybody else. It's like,
oh,
that's
how they are. Yeah, that's how those idiots are.
That's what happens with those people who, you know, are outside of the zoos.
Yeah.
You know, they have the snake in their bedroom that eats them every other day.
Yeah.
So if that video was two people with a proper enclosure, with the snake hook, doing it the right way, and not even talking about how the other way is wrong, just like, this is normal. This is what we do. That's the positive message you portray. And you know, that's not going to grab headlines, but if enough people do it, it's just repetition. Enough repetition. It's why what Garrett did worked with the super dwarfs. He just kept saying, these snakes are incredible. Look at this. This is a retic that doesn't get massive. Here is reason 1 through 100 why you should like the snakes. And people caught on. If this is method 1 to 100 of how we responsibly keep reptiles, people will catch on. It's just, you need to put it out there. This is why, like, despite my rant earlier, I stay on social media, is because I just, you know, I feel like we do it right. There's a lot that I know we can improve on, and we're working on it. But I want to show people how to do, you know, just put it out there in the world. If it influences somebody to do something, or if someone likes the content, great. But if anything else, at least it's out there as an example of what reptile keeping is really like.
Right.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, dude. Jesus, you went full Kush right there. It was awesome.
I can probably keep going if you wanted me to. So.
Oh no, I mean, no, it's good. It's good shit. No, that makes a lot of sense, bro. It really does. Because I mean, it's the end of the day, I know that not only do I just have myself, or I don't even want to put Lily in that position. We're like, hey, I need help with this fucking 15-footer. You know what I mean? I just rather not. I have so much other stuff I'd rather concentrate my time on where, you know, as much as I love these animals, there's other people who have the staff or have the time or the enclosure space to really take in a retic. And this is what a lot of people don't understand until they get in the position I'm in, until they're already big and you're like looking around and you're like, oh shit, now what do I do? You know what I mean? So, I mean,
and let me put this out there. If your absolute dream is to keep big mainland reticulated pythons and you're listening to me, you're like, man, fuck you. Don't tell me what the fuck to do. It's like, okay, know what you're getting yourself into and be the good example of how to do it right. If you really love these reticulated pythons, do it right and show everybody else how to do it right. I think that the big retic enclosure at the Reptarium, that is the best retic enclosure I've ever seen, where an 18-foot retic can get 100% off the ground. These snakes are semi-arboreal. That means that they climb, and that means
perch.
They climb when they're babies. That doesn't mean they climb until they're 3 years old. That means adults, like 20-plus foot wild retics, have been found 30 feet up in trees.
They perch.
They freaking climb.
They hill a perch.
An 8x2x2 is animal abuse to a retic.
They perch.
I'm gonna say it, like,
bro. Okay.
Like we built for our monitors for your giant retic. Look how Tom Crutchfield keeps his outside in Florida. Do that. If you really love the retics, do best by the animals.
Yep.
Then keep them all you want, and show everybody how much you love the retics.
I think
the animals.
Crutchfield was the first person I saw post like, listen, this is where I keep my retics. If you can't give them in something in space like this, you shouldn't keep them. And I was kind of like, well, whatever. You know, I was like, you know, I was kind of like annoyed because he was spitting facts, but I already have my retics. But then when I went over to Brian Barczyk's, the Reptarium, and he pulled out Lucy, fuck, dude, I was like, we're dealing with Lucy, right? And then he's like, all right, let's put her back. He puts her back, and she goes to, like, he has like this big ass fake tree, and she went to the very, very, very top and like just perched there. And I was like, it's a 19-foot retic. It was massive. It was huge. And it went to the very top, fucking 12-foot part of the enclosure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. That's when I really sat in my mind. I'm like, bro, I keep mine in 6x2s. You know what I mean? Like, this is terrible. Like, they want to climb. They're just flat, you know, poor bastard.
With our scrub pythons right now, there's probably someone like, well, you're a hypocrite. You have a 13-foot scrub python in a Christmas tree tub. It's like, well, yeah, and we do. And they've been breeding in there, but very shortly that animal's going in an 8x2x3. And, you know, that's another thing we're trying to slowly transition. A lot of these things that, you know, we want to do here, our goals of the animals, as much as you'd like them to be overnight, you know, life happens. You can't do everything you set your mind to immediately. Some of these things, they're very long term. But we want to, for one, we want to get the animals into enclosures where we can look at them. If you look at a tub, you're like, yeah, I can kind of see that snake in there. If you look at a cage with a UV light in a well-lit room, like, if the animal's out, you're seeing it. It's like going to a zoo. I want to walk into our zoo every single day, you know, and just see the animals. Which doesn't mean that every reptile will do best in a large enclosure. You know, I think the way that ball pythons are kept is, you know, they're ball pythons, what they do. You know, you don't need a 4x2x4 for your ball python. They're probably just going to curl up in the corner and never move.
They spend their life hiding. That's what they do.
Yeah, they live in termite mounds. Like, that's what they do.
Life. Let's go get some termites. It's only right.
there's snakes like, you know, earlier we were talking about, like indigo snakes or like white-lipped pythons, that their nature in a big enclosure is to freak out. Like an indigo snake, a really freaked out indigo snake will damn near kill itself whipping around in a cage because it's freaked out that it's so visible. Or a white-lipped python, like, you can just tell that their quality of life goes up once they're in that comfortable environment. It's just finding that comfortable environment. But for the instance that we're giving of the reticulated python, their comfortable environment is this giant cage with lots of height. Mm-hmm. It's just how it is. If it wasn't that case, Brian's big retic would be doing terribly, and it's thriving.
Yeah. Facts. Super facts. All right, now I have to get into this topic because there's no way we could do this episode and not get into it because it's important, and I already hear people asking about it. So we're gonna talk about it, man. Abronia, the Abronia, man. So I've walked into their room, and boy, was I fucking really thrown back. Not only because the breeze was amazing, oh man, because you gotta understand, you walk into a reptile room, you gotta understand, okay, this room should be warm, it should be hot. But you go into the Abronia room and it's like a fucking air-conditioned, perfect, crisp, brisk, fucking just of air. Like I loved it. Like I felt like I was in the mountains. Like it felt really, really awesome in there.
Oh, that's where they come from. They're montane, they're high elevation and
gross
and cloud forests that are, for lack of a better term, cold.
Right.
You don't expect reptiles to come from that kind of climate, but I mean, really, some of the coolest reptiles in the entire world live in that climate.
Now, what are some of the biggest things you've learned since kind of, being at Reptek and, kind of taking over that side of the Abronia and whatnot? Like, what are some of the things that are still kind of ongoing learning for you with those?
They're a huge learning process for a number of reasons. I think one is that they're still fairly new to the hobby. For me, one of the things was before I started working here, like I was really new on knowing much about them. Obviously Forrest knew a ton about Abronia. And so, like Nick Gordon, he also, I learned a lot about Abronia from him too. And I continue to, but I was kind of like, okay, go do it. So a lot of it was, just trial by fire, kind of learning on the fly. The biggest thing for anybody who wants Abronia or has any interest in keeping them is that climate where
super important.
Yeah. The climate really is the biggest thing. Yeah. It's one of our Abronia Smithii females. If we kept the Abronia in here, they die. They can't do the hot temperatures, which is why, a lot of houses, if you keep them at like your standard room temperature in an area that, doesn't get super hot, if there's good airflow, they would do well like that. They wouldn't do well in a standard reptile room, but a lot of people, they have their reptile room. So if they didn't know about that beforehand, you're set up for failure with Abronia. From the husbandry side of it, it's one of those things, once you get it down, their husbandry is good. It's where the breeding is where it gets difficult.
Right.
And that's been a learning curve for sure here in general. So a few of the things that are big on them. Yeah, that's looks like an Abronia Arita on the bottom, or maybe a Vasconcelosi, and then a Campoi on top.
I love their scientific terms. They honestly, that it really makes me miss Forrest when you drop those terms, because he used to drop those terms all the time in his stories. And anyways, keep going.
Yeah, and the thing that's great about this, the Latin names, comparing them to the common names, is there's a lot of reptiles that have the same common name as each other, but they don't have the same Latin name. So if you drop the Latin name, you know exactly what you're talking about, as opposed to you can say some common name that we call it this in the US. In Europe, they call it something different. In Asia, they call it something different. And then wherever they come from, they call it something different. But if you say that the binomial nomenclature, as it's called, the Latin scientific name, that is a universal language. So that's why I like to use them, is just for the reason alone of you know what you're talking about, and there's no mistaking what it is if you use the Latin name. So that's one of the Graminia, the
more common one. This is a common Abronia, right? Am I?
Yeah. That's the most represented one in captivity.
Okay.
And conservation wise, it's not nearly as in decline as many of the other ones.
I was very surprised on how big these things got, man. Like I mean, you really can't see obviously in pictures, but man, when I saw them, they were like big. I was like, holy shit! So.
And the thing with the Abronia is, like, I feel like a lot of people look at them as one entity. Depending probably on who you ask, there's 20 to 30 species of Abronia, and then more being constantly described. There's a new one described like a couple months ago. So, it's still a very new area of science. And these things, they come from 4 different countries. and you know, different. I mean, like over 4 different countries. That's a very big range. So these things they're not going to be the same animal from you know, with such a large distribution.
Right.
So, you know, there's a huge size variation. Their scalation is totally different. Some of them have those really cool subocular horns, the horns kind of behind the eyes. Some don't. Some have kind of more like bulbousy scales, so to speak. Some of them are very flat. Some of them have keeled scales, actually. So they're very different, and I feel like they definitely have different mannerisms, ways that they live, different growth patterns. So there's still a lot to be learned about the differences in the species of Abronia too.
Now, where do you think they're going popularity wise in the future? Like, do you feel like those are like,
you know, same way we were talking about with the scrub pythons earlier. It was one of those things. It took somebody like Forrest to be like, hey, look at these. These are incredible. I like them because of this. You should too. And to say it over and over again. I think you know, he was probably the reason why people are into Abronia these days. I mean, who else was doing it?
Yeah, no. Just
I knew about Abronia graminia, and I knew there were alligator lizards.
Yeah.
You know, there are all these different species.
Yep.
All it takes is that first person to be like, hey, look what's happening over here. Like, why is nobody else looking at it? Everyone else look at this. Yeah. And then it just takes off. So, I mean, you know, between me and Desiree, I feel like her more than me, we get a ton of inquiries about Abronia.
Oh my God. Yeah, bro. That's what's crazy. Is like, I could even see it. Like, I could see how many people are starting to just wire and rave and just want to be interested in Abronia. What's crazy is, remember I told you I went to his local pet shop and I knew he knew you, like, or he mentioned, oh, like, well, Stephen Kush uses these bulbs and stuff. Remember I told you that? And I was like, damn, this will literally fans.
I thought you were lying, to be honest with you.
No, but what was very impressive is we were talking about Abronia and he was dropping the scientific terms. Of course, I didn't know if they're right, but they sounded right. And I was just like, damn, hell yeah, this fool knows what up. And, you know, so I could just tell, like, all right, this kid is very fascinated about this. And he was local. And I just think it's amazing. And it's awesome because they're so really cool to see in person. Like, I would love to see a reptile thrive like that in the future in the pet industry.
Yeah. And, you know, I feel like as far as the whole pet side of it goes, I would say give it like 5 years, because a lot of the breeding that's being done right now, it's kind of in a kind of like a closed circle, so to speak, where the goal for now, and you know, the whole message behind the Abronia Alliance, and then everybody who's, you know, kind of on the outskirts, is to establish these captive bloodlines, diversify them. So like if we have a litter of Abronia lytherkyla, Nick has a litter of Abronia lytherkyla, Cody has a litter of Abronia lytherkyla, instead of keeping all those for ourselves, two there. So where, you know, all those bloodlines are being diversified, so you're not inbreeding these species off the bat. That's a problem with a lot of these kind of rare reptiles that are, you know, are seen in small numbers. The right people get their hands on them. There's not the ability for that genetic diversity. So while we're still so early on with Abronia, managing the program the right way, you know, it allows for that. So where everybody who's involved in Abronia and is very passionate about them can start it off right instead of having to correct it later on, essentially, if you understand kind of where I'm coming from. And to where we have these collections that are super focused on breeding Abronia, where, like, obviously here, you know, we are not exclusively focused on Abronia. You know, it's one of a handful of different areas that we focus. Where, like, Nick, for instance, he keeps almost exclusively Abronia. He also has a really cool pygmy chameleon collection, which he's getting some production out of those too. Dylan DeMuth is another guy who has a lot of Abronia and has been having breeding success. That's not all he keeps either. He has lots of geckos and monitors and stuff. But, you know, there are people that are, you know, Jason Wagner is somebody who's almost exclusively Abronia, but he has some stuff like Agurnia, other cool lizards that, you know, are not in that focus of Abronia. So, but with that focus, it takes a lot of people. I'm not a lot, like, you know, 10, 20, 30 that'll put that effort into it. And if it stays in that 10, 20 people, which a lot of people probably won't like to hear it, that's probably the best way to assure long run success and longevity with them here in captivity, because it establishes that really strong genetic base of the captive population up front, where eventually when, hopefully, again, piss off the croc, knock on wood, where production, where as a group, Abronia breeding has been, for the most part, figured out, or at least there's a recipe to follow, like there is a green tree pythons. Everyone has their method of breeding green tree pythons. Does it always work? No, but it's been done enough, dating back to Trooper Walsh and, whatnot, where it's been done enough to where you kind of know in general what to do, or you can get guidance on what to do. Once it gets to that point with Abronia, where production is high enough to where, we're not containing them within 50 facilities, then getting them to other hobbyists or, other people who have developed the passion will be a lot more realistic. So at least from what I've seen the last year or so, there are far fewer Abronia available. And, probably one of the two biggest things plaguing Abronia is poaching and smuggling. I can't say whether that's occurring or not. All I know is I'm not seeing as many smuggled, or what I would look at and say I'm assuming that is a smuggled Abronia for sale. Every now and then they pop up and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna keep scrolling.
That's suspect.
Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately that's the truth of a lot of reptiles. Even still, is that the whole goal is to create captive populations that are strong enough and are thriving enough to where that smuggling isn't even necessary anymore, to where you can buy a captive bred animal for less than a smuggled animal, or for the same value, or where it's known that, hey, these wild caughts, you're not getting that same quality animal as you are from the breeder who's dedicating their life to the species. So it's been done with a lot of different reptiles. Abronia are just one of the new things that are, being brought to the forefront. And to make it a little more important, they're some of the most endangered reptiles in the world. So it's not just that, hey, we need more of them in captivity. We just need more of them in general. And we need a reason to keep all the ones that are in the wild out in the wild. Because the possibility of reintroduction of captive reptiles, it's as minimal as it can get. Truly, you would need to pick animals directly from a coordinate point and keep so many factors steady through the entire process, and then get them right back to that coordinate point. And I don't even really know that much about it, if I'm being totally honest with you. All I know is that it's fucking difficult. But the importance is keeping those animals there and reducing reason for them to leave, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is a much bigger issue than captive breeding. That's just in the moment what we can do collectively to start that trend.
I just really like how there's so many people behind the Abronia, like the Abronia Alliance, how that's all gathered and stuff. And I really feel like they're off. Abronia definitely has a bright future in the industry. What are you looking at? You're right. Your eyes squinching.
I was looking at the comments real quick.
You want to say hi to people in the comments? You want to say whatever? All positive things, all great things. Lily wants a burrito, obviously, so she's bugging me about a burrito. But
get her a damn burrito.
No, yeah, Lily, take the whip. You're the one that got the Range Rover. Why are you bothering me right now? Okay. Anyways, so what I was gonna bring. Oh wow, look who's back. Look who's up in the building, dude. He never makes any. He does this. This fool does not make any of the shows, bro. So this is sick as fuck. Andrew Acevedo with the Celebrity Appearance Award. Jackson from Desiree. That's crazy.
We were talking a lot of shit about you earlier, Andrew. Just saying.
Doubt it. Andrew's the man, bro. He's one of the big homies. Definitely one of the people. Obviously, we're talking about going on an excursion to Indo. So yeah, and we're gonna take back some teamwork clutches for sure, 100%. All right, so listen, before we get into the hot seat questions, this has been an amazing 3 hours, by the way.
We're not gonna go 4 or 5, man.
I'm giving you round 2. Dude, they're not getting all a Kush in one session, bro. That's why we break things up in rounds. All right. So
show and tell has been minimal, man.
What do you want to show then? Because I was gonna have I had one question about conservation, and then but forget it. Let's would you want to show?
Well, all right, let's do a little show and tell, and then we'll go back to conservation.
All right.
Anybody in the comments, is there anything in particular that you'd like to be showed?
What do you guys want to see? What you got? No ball python.
We got a lot of ball pythons. We got scrubs and olives and Sanzinia. We got
Sanzinia. Bust out a Sanny, please. Sanzinia, please. I'm gonna take a piss, so this is all you.
Oh, all right then. Okay, radio silence and Sanzinia. So here's our biggest Sanzinia right now. She's still a juvenile, about a three-year-old female Western or Mandarin phased Madagascar tree boa. These are one of my favorite boa species that we have and really just in general. They're very unique. They kind of have that divergent evolution pattern, same way that, green trees and emeralds had that divergent evolution on different sides of the world. Really, these Madagascar tree boas are very similar to where they have that onogenic color change from when they're babies. They kind of come out that red color, especially the greens where they have that really, really vibrant red, very similar to chondros as babies. Go through that change into adulthood. And then obviously the mandarins turn this very cool yellow, brown, red color, and where the greens obviously go mostly green. And live a semi-arboreal lifestyle and are just freaking cool as shit. So the westerns, like this one, get bigger than the easterns, the greens. I think the biggest one of these I've seen is probably about 7 foot, but I would say probably 5'6" is a more average adult size. The greens are maybe more like 4 or 5 foot as adults. So Sanzinia lesson.
All right, we're getting people want more scrubs. Let's see.
We'll do scrubs.
All right, let's see an impressive size scrub. Let's see something girthy. Oh. Amazing times.
I can't take out the giant ones because for one, I'd be breaking my rule, and also they're all breeding and it's nighttime. I don't want to get bit, but let's see what this one will do. Oh, there you go. There you go. Hi. Okay. Yes, hi. I'm not feeding you. You're going to give it up? This is where in the Reptek video she fucked up.
All right, let's see this. This ought to be good.
So here's Barnack. This is kind of what you would call a Manaquari type, so to speak, but that very reduced pattern where, or not necessarily reduced, but just lighter to where you're not really going to see those bands. The portholes on the side are very, very light and just light overall body color. This is my favorite appearance of Barnack scrub pythons. I do love the dark ones as well, but the lighter phenotype has always been kind of where my love has been. So, and just taking my shirt now. But this is
look at that V. Look at that 6.
Anyway, it's 2021. I can't say nothing. But this is actually this is the second scrub python I ever got. Had it for almost 4 years now, and has a very good demeanor. You may have seen a minute ago that it it kind of had that feeding response coming out of the tub. That's what a lot of them will do. Okay, what else people want to see?
You know what we want to see.
What size are those tubs? These are just V70s.
Pop one. Somebody requested a pop one.
Okay. And this is now stolen the second chair.
They love that chair.
They do. Scrub pythons grab anything and everything and make your life a living hell. But I love them. Okay, go back.
Oppador time. Oppador.
About to risk life and limb for everybody.
This is gonna be good because these things are pretty intense. Shout out to everyone who's been tuned in to this 3-hour podcast. We're still going. A little show and tell before we get into the hot seat question. Well, a little conversation.
I hope he decides to be normal and not make me look like a fool. But the only one that's in this room currently, it's our large one. He is probably about 8 foot.
This is the male?
Yeah, it's the bigger male.
Oh boy.
So yeah, he's pretty awesome. You know, I would say these are probably the most scrub-like of the other pythons as far as how they act. They're nothing like the Australian olives, which I also love dearly, but they're often, you know, kind of mentioned in the same vein. They couldn't be more different. And the way they move, just they're much more calculated than Australian olives, and they're very strong, and they'll use their strength. So they wrap very hard. As you can see, my fingers are in a vice grip over here, but definitely very fascinating snakes, and they get huge too. Average size like 12. But I've heard of instances of 16-foot specimens. Not sure if that is, as they call it cap or not, but that'd be pretty cool. 16-foot pop. So what else is
How the Australian olives doing?
They're doing wonderful. The pair that we have together, I haven't seen a lot, but it's kind of hard to with olive pythons because they like wrap all around each other and they look like one giant ass snake. And you can kind of see the tails are in there. I'm assuming they've done something, but they're doing very well. This is one that I love to show off no matter what. And we could get into another discussion. You can see I'm using the hook, and I will continue to, because this is our female Boega divergens. Of course, the rear fang venomous. She is incredible.
That's the one you got from Patrick, right?
Sure did.
Damn.
Was generous enough to let us get this animal, and she is just nothing short of flawless. So bring her back here. She's a proven breeder. She is kind of a lower expression on that gray bluish coloration compared to a lot of other divergens, but our male is very blue. So when paired up, hopefully they can have some really, really top-notch offspring. But so we got some.
I don't want to be a Tyler Nolan, but is that hook necessary?
Yeah, it's 100% necessary. Not necessarily to the point of this snake is aggressive, but it is in fact venomous. If you think that they aren't dangerous because they got to chew on you first, in the feeding response, this thing is shot to the side of the tub once and literally grabbed on and held on for about 30 seconds. Back fangs were like right there. So when I saw that, I'm like, okay, there's no if it taps you, it didn't envenomate you. There is a very high chance of that. And really, like, nothing about this experience right now is minimized by the fact that this snake is on the end of a hook. I mean, it's incredible. I'm keeping it a safe distance away from me, and I'm still enjoying it the same way I would as if this was my other hand. And just because it's a rear fang does not mean they don't have a serious venom. Some mangrove venom is very capable of having some necrotic properties as well as causing temporary paralysis. Nothing of which I have any intent on experiencing tonight. So the way I see it, there is really no reason to free handle any venomous snake.
Touche.
As it's been said a lot, I don't need to beat a dead horse.
Oh yeah, we've had multiple.
Yeah, the whole like it's a bad representation of the hobby, but I mean to be fair, it's the same way we're like the Reptics. keeping a Reptek in a small enclosure is probably a bad representation of the hobby. So the way I look at it, like I was saying, of instead of showing the video of the woman getting her hand bit and wrapped up by a Reptek, same thing with a venomous. Instead of free handling that snake, do everything you were going to do. Just show the proper technique, explain what you're doing, and not bash in the process. Explain why you're right. Don't explain why they're wrong. Just rise above what you're trying to rise above, what you are already above. Because if you are at that level, you don't need to explain why you're above the ones that above the people that are below you, because you are already there. You just need to show everybody why you were there. And I'm not a venomous professional by any stretch. I have very little experience compared to a lot of people who I look up to greatly. But I know enough to know that that snake is probably best on the end of a hook and not crawling into my hands. So people on YouTube I've seen get bit by mangrove snakes and laugh it off like it's nothing. That's a terrible, terrible, terrible image. At least these people who are free handling these cobras and stuff aren't like, oh, this thing's totally harmless. It's not going to fucking mess with me. Over there, like, oh, you know, if it bites me, it's no big deal. They talk about a mangrove snake that way. It's like, according to who? According to you?
Put some respect on it.
I mean, really, it's like free handling that snake is me saying, I don't care what that thing is. I have no respect for that animal. It means nothing to me other than it's a prop. That's the way I look at it. So
where's the hook on this one?
Yeah.
Can we see this one? Is this around? Just
sure
curious. Can. Yeah. Woo. This is gonna be fire. Lily, that's what I want.
There's a lot of dialogue about venom yield with mangrove snakes with neonates, but it's just something I don't really want to mess with. But this is our male divergence. We've had him for a few months now.
Cream of the crop with Boegas.
Yeah, so this is the crown jewel of the Boega genus, in my opinion.
Top shelf.
And as you can see, all of that gray throughout the side of its body, that's going to be blue as an adult.
The Louis Vuitton.
Not across the board. I wouldn't say sexual dimorphism, but there definitely seems to be a lot more of these high blue specimens with the males, which is with that female. Obviously, we wanted to find one that had this coloration, and we were very, very lucky to come across this one. Again, Patrick Holmes hooked us up on helping us locate this animal. So it is thriving, doing very well, eating pre-killed fuzzy mice, and just couldn't be happier with it.
And just like where this thing's heading as for an adult is going to just be mind-blowing. Like I'm talking about mind-blowing. The blues and whatnot, the yellow that complements all that, the black. Whew, that is a dream right there, bro.
Yeah,
I mean, great player.
I mean, even in a couple years, this is just going to be one of the nicest looking snakes we have, bar none. So, yeah, the mangroves are. We just started getting into them this year. The first ones were some melanota that we got from Brian, ones that he produced, and basically fell in love with those instantly. So, divergence was a very obvious next step for us, and we just really stumbled across the right animals, and absolutely no regrets at all. They're incredible.
It's badass, dude. And so with the mangroves and whatnot, I mean, you're about a year away from getting those paired up, or are you planning on pairing those up this year?
We're still pretty far. I mean, because you
have hatchlings you're raising up too, right?
Yeah, we have 3 of the species right now. We have a pair of the melanota, pair of diverges, and we just have 1 dendrophila. It's a male. So obviously we're not going to hybridize them. So we're just our at the moment, our closest shot is this male divergence becoming of size in a few years. So it's a long-term project. We're in no rush.
Go get the tricolor. Come on.
Yeah. No, thank you. There you go. Picture.
Oh my God. This right here is probably my favorite monitor. And I got to see it on the very last day I was at the Reptek facility. I was bummed because I was looking for it almost every day, and it was never coming out. It was just hiding, and then happened to come out the very last day. It was basking. Shout out to Jason who told me it was out and got to see it. This thing is just badass, man. This thing is no joke, too. One of the nastiest bites. Will fuck you up. This thing's escaped. Kush has found it, obviously. And it's in a different enclosure now, doing really well. Right, Kush?
Yeah, the new enclosure it's in is it's bigger. It's a lot more open, but it seems to be much more comfortable in it. I had to bring one of these out.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, dude, can we see MJ too at some point?
We can see MJ.
Okay, thank you.
But this is the darkest neonate from the clutch we hatched.
It is a Kush production.
So yeah, this is from the pair, and this is kind of lends to what I was talking about locality type with Barneck earlier. Is just this animal is so much darker than either of the parents. This would be, if this was on an import list, this would be a very dark sarong, and the female from what you would typically describe them as would likely be a a sarong type or a darker Jaipura type. So that would lend to it, but also it has siblings that are almost totally patternless. But this one it has like more black on it than any other pigment. I feel like in 2 years this will be one of the best looking scrub pythons we have. So definitely one of my favorites.
Okay, show them my favorite. Show them my favorite. Let's go. So real quick, backstory on this snake, number 11, aka MJ. This was supposed to be my snake, technically. Okay, Steven sent me a picture of his clutch. He said there was 10 eggs. I said, no, there's not. There's 11. He said, all right, if there's 11 eggs, you get the 11th egg. I was like, what? For sure. I want the 11th egg. Done. Guess what? There are 11 eggs. Guess what? All fertile. Guess what? All 11 made it. Guess what? Number 11, MJ. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. MJ.
So this is little MJ. Baby number 11, and the story is real. I can confirm it. And unfortunately, he's staying here. I thought, what's a good consolation not getting the snake? Well, I'll name the snake after you. I feel like that was totally fair. So yeah, so we now permanently have MJ represented at the Reptek facility in our scrub python collection. This little Barneck right here, which is just phenomenal. So this is the last baby to make it out of the egg.
Hi, MJ. Sorry you got kidnapped.
Well, it happens. Sometimes in life there's a plan on something, then it changes. You get kidnapped and you stay where you end up, where you were in the first place. So
unbelievable, man. And all 11 are doing great. I mean,
yeah.
Are they taking frozen blood now, or
there's a handful of live feeders left. 2 of them are on to live ASFs now. One's only on live mice still, but the rest of them are all pre-killed rat pinks.
Right. Respect.
Yep. So these guys are all killing it.
What's awesome is to say that's your first clutch and they look that great, all 11 smashing. It's great, bro. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, it's, it was my favorite moment in my reptile life up until that point. Seeing those babies hatch was just, it was incredible. It was definitely a very bright spot in what was, for me personally and for everybody, a really tough part of life. So these babies definitely helped me get through some hard times for sure. So
that's awesome.
For a number of reasons, these things are very special to me.
And MJ will always be special to me.
Yep.
Love that snake.
If it's a female, it's staying MJ, just so you know.
Mary Jane, don't matter. Same thing.
Exactly.
MJ. Fuck yeah, dude. Is it possible, and listen, you've been doing a good job, show and tell has been awesome, but is it possible to get one of the bells out by chance? Is it? Or maybe a monitor in general? If it can't be the bells, any monitor? Or is it just
with the time of day, I'd be really disturbing them.
Okay. I knew I was
so.
Don't disturb them. Don't disturb them. No. I figured because you said at nighttime they're passed out. That's why I was like,
yeah, this is when the snakes are all doing their thing.
Snakes are all cracked out right now. They're ready to rock.
Exactly.
All right, pick one more snake to show off. Your pick. Kush's pick.
This will be a tough one.
Yes.
Very successful.
See what he's going to pick out for us real quick. I'm excited. It's been a great episode, man. Really has. As I knew this would be. Classic 3-hour episode with my boy Kush. The homie Andrew Acevedo's in the building. That's hard. That's hard.
So kind of
these edibles are so legit.
Little oddball compared to what we've been looking at so far. Actually, I saw a request for it in the comments earlier, and I forgot that this snake was in here. But this is our female Mexican tiger rat snake, Spilotes mexicanus, and really, these are possibly my favorite colubrids. One of a handful of them. Probably these in Boega. They're just they're so unique. They're very very elongated, kind of triangular, vertically oriented snake. They're super whippy. They literally act like a non-venomous mamba, which is very cool because I like mambas, but they scare the shit out of me. So I keep these instead. They're just they're very colorful. The Mexican form usually is much brighter than the South American form, and you can't really see it, but they get like these white and orange spots on them too, where the South Americans are really just black and yellow, which is not taking anything away from them. It's just these are very cool that they have pattern throughout their whole body, where a lot of the South Americans will have like that black tail at some point, and just it's usually a lot busier throughout. Where I mean, you can almost kind of equate a tiger rat snake pattern almost to kind of like a Bolin's python, where they're kind of like striped and then they fade out as they go. So this is definitely very different, a little more granity, very unique snakes with huge eyes too. They do these really unique long tongue flicks, semi-arboreal. So,
but you have an adult one. Like one, excuse me.
So we have 1.2 adult South American. So we have both the Mexican and the South American tiger rats.
Okay. Yeah, those are big. I've seen those. Those are kind of intense.
Yeah, if they were in here, I would have taken one of them out, but they're in the quarantine room right now. So for no reason other than there's just no space in here at the moment.
Right.
So, yep.
Sick.
We'll be back.
Sick. So much sick shit. If you're able to somehow and they have the time, I would link up with Desiree or Steven and see if any of you could go by and visit the facility, because I'm telling you, it will change your life. It is amazing to see how legit they have things ran. Everything's all structured as far as teamwork and stuff. It's awesome, man. Can't wait to go back and visit. I really can't. I had a great fucking time. Oh, man. All right, Steven.
Okay.
Now, in all seriousness, okay, what can we all do as keepers to help out conservation-wise? Like on a serious note, because I know we always, I mean, let's be honest. We miss Carl. Carl's doing time right now. We don't know when he's back, but he always had good facts. But you believe in it as well. And I want to know what you feel like something that we could all do, or at least look forward to, like, or at least start somewhere to help with what we're battling as keepers, with what we're battling on a day-to-day basis, and what's kind of getting worse for us.
I don't think there's one thing in particular, because there's a few different approaches to make. One very obvious thing to do would be to find some conservation initiatives, in whatever country. Find an animal you're interested in, like for say a Bronia. Find a conservation initiative in their habitat and donate to them, and then promote them. That's one thing you can do. To work with a species that is not commonly worked with. I'll do one more show and tell, just kind of like a cool instance of this. Never mind. That thing's eating. So this right here is our newest acquisition. We just got these yesterday from our good friend Matt Most. He was like, hey, I either got to come over there and pick up live, or I can just give these to you and you can breed them. So he just took them. But these are These are Calabar burrowing pythons. Super, super weird species. If anyone watched some of Brian's old videos, you recognize these. They're very underrepresented in the hobby, and they're not like a high dollar animal necessarily, but it's something where, you know, if these stop being exported, they could be lost altogether onto the hobby. You know, similar case was with what you call it, black throat monitors. I'm gonna put this little dude back real quick. It is
Please, that thing was ugly.
But they're just super unique. They're, you know, there's really nothing like them, and you know, just something cool like that. Do a little, you know, have a little project like that. Like with black throat, you know, another African species, the black throat monitor, was imported commonly 4 or 5 years ago. You can get import black throat monitors for $250, and then boom, zero quota, cut off, and now captive breds are $2,500, and everyone wants black throat monitors, but you can't get them because they were cheap disposable imports for so long. Not enough people took the time to work with them, and then they were lost down the hobby, which then therefore promotes more of that smuggling, which is another thing that we're trying to eliminate to save those wild populations. So, you know, don't rush into it. If there's something that interests you, do some research on it, see if it fits in with the parameters of how you're already keeping your animals. But, you know, just maybe find something cool that's a little bit different and work with it, and, you know, post about it. Tell people why you think it's cool. Just expand the knowledge base of reptile keepers. And then also, like I was saying, just even if you feel like you're a new keeper, that you're still learning, do what you can to be another one of these good examples of how to do it right. You know, if you follow shows like this where, you know, people come on and, you know, people with far more experience than me talk about how they're doing things, and you're emulating it off of these professionals or longtime herp keepers, just put it out there. Hey, I'm a private hobbyist and I'm doing this the right way. This is how I do things. These are my animals. This is how I care for them. These are, you know, if there's anything that, like a big snake, you know, just show how you're handling protocols with them. It doesn't have to be some big preachy thing like I'm doing right now. Just another example of, hey, I'm doing it right. I'm doing it right over here. I'm doing it right over here. If the community as a whole comes together to show that we are not this, we are not how they negatively portray us. Because the zoo field has done it great with the AZA, the Association of Zoo and Aquariums. It's this elitist social club of all of these zoo curators that think, or not even the curators, the directors, the owners that think they're holier than thou because they have a zoo. And there is different legislation for the AZA, different things that they can do that we can't do, because they have standardized, because they have this like this set of parameters of, this is our facilities are run like this. This is what we expect out of them. And it really has been corrupted, and it lost what it was truly about, especially when they accepted funding from the Humane Society of the United States. That was truly an awful move on the part of the AZA. But the concept was good. The execution ended up totally straying away from what it could be, and kind of the message that it portrays of standardize what we're doing, not in a way to kick people out like they kind of did, but to raise everybody up to where this is where you should be. This is where you should want to be. This is the company you should want to keep. This is what's going to keep your rights to own these animals. I think that's really the next wave of reptile keeping. There's a lot of infighting right now in these different communities. Like this is part of the reason I scroll Facebook. I don't comment on anything unless it's just a little positive comment, because all that bickering literally is just doing everything in our power to drag ourselves down, when really as a community, you may have an individual problem with somebody, and I don't really care. You know, that it's not important. What's really important is that everybody as a whole is working so that we can rise ourselves up to fight what we're up against, and also to show the world that, hey, we're not a bunch of yahoos in our basement free handling rattlesnakes, that we are taking these zoological principles of how to care for these animals. We have a vision. We're doing this for a reason, and this is it. I'm showing you what we're doing. I'm not that yahoo in the basement. I have these professionally made cages. I feed, high quality and prey to my animals. I keep records. They're in good shape. I have a veterinarian. Like, I'm a professional in a private setting. I feel like if more people can show that they're doing that, because there's a lot of people doing that, if we can show that we're doing that, that's probably the most important thing we can do as a hobby.
Facts.
And rant over.
Facts. Stephen Kush, ladies and gentlemen. Great times, man. 3.5 hours. Wow. After the hot seat questions. Heat, bro. All heat. I enjoyed it. You're awesome, Stephen. You're always awesome.
Okay.
He's my co-host, too, so I get to hang out with this guy on a weekly basis. We talk on the phone all the time. Anyways, I don't want to brag. Hot seat question time. You ready for this or what, Bubs?
Sure. I think I went through this once before, so we'll see. We'll do it again.
No. Did you?
Well, because we were already on Trap Talk, Desiree and I together.
We didn't do hot seat questions, though. We skipped that. I remember. We didn't do them.
All right, well then, hot seat questions. Ready?
Oh, we're ready. Yeah, because I got specific hot seat questions for you. These are
okay. All right. Well then,
custom. These are Bub hot seat questions.
Okay.
I don't need an explanation either, man. I just need you to spit it out. Okay.
All right.
Yep. So hot seat questions for the Scrub King, Stephen Kush. You ready?
Yes.
All right. Frozen thought or live?
Pre-kill. Aha.
So so you want to pre-kill everything? So meaning if everything's gonna eat, you rather just kill everything and offer it pre-killed?
Well, we have our euthanasia chamber that we use for all of our rodents. So euthanize them and pull them directly out, and the snakes get to eat prey that has been dead for a matter of minutes.
That doesn't make sense. He's the source. He doesn't need to freeze it. He just kill
frozen thawed.
Frozen thawed. Okay. A cut or no cut?
I don't really care. Both.
No, you come on. That's not how it works. A cut or no cut. If you cut, you're A cut. So
all right, cut after first pip.
Okay. Big flexor or no flexor?
I feel like I'm more in the no flex category, but
Well, not according to your scrub collection, but anyways, all right, no flexor, I guess. Hockey or football?
Football.
All right, nice.
I'm not Canadian. The fuck.
Ruth Chris Steakhouse or Hibachi Steak?
Oh,
like Benihana or like.
Well, Ruth Chris doesn't have the best steak though.
Okay, then let's
pick a better steak place.
Yeah, you pick your. How about you? I mean, regardless, steakhouse or hibachi?
Yeah, steakhouse. You can't go wrong with a steakhouse. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
I'm a food elitist too.
All right, Eminem or Machine Gun Kelly?
Eminem. Is that even a question?
All right. Let's see, Trippie Redd or Lil Peep?
Trippie Redd.
You're an asshole. I'm still mad right now that you just said that. We're done. Oh, just kidding. Little Peep special to me. I don't know why. You just don't even. We'll go later in it. West Coast rap or East Coast rap?
West.
Okay. What's your favorite thing to cook?
Huh?
What's your favorite thing to cook?
I don't cook.
Period. So you can't okay, you're in the kitchen, there's a bunch of shit, and you can't cook a thing.
I'm great at oatmeal.
What the fuck? He said granted oatmeal. Oh my god.
Mean oatmeal, okay?
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I spent my whole life learning about the reptile shit. I don't know shit about preparing food. I'm great at eating food. I hate preparing food. So,
all right, little word association. First thing to come to mind: milk.
We did this before. Titties.
Nice. You did this before? Cocoa.
We did that one. That's
cocoa.
how I was know if we did it before.
Cocoa.
What?
Cocoa.
Chanel.
Nice. Stuck shed.
Soak.
Okay. Emerald tree boa eggs.
No comment.
Thief. Thief. Oh my god, you knew that was coming. Yeah, that was too bad. I wish everyone really knew the backstory on that. We won't get into it. Instagram trolls.
Fuck them.
Right. One has to go forever, and I'm pretty sure we all know the answers to this, but one has to go forever. Instagram or Facebook?
Facebook. The fuck?
Done.
Facebook.
It's a wrap. Stephen Kush, Reptek, Cold Blooded Cafe. Thank you, sir. This was awesome.
Thank you for having me.
You the man. I appreciate everything that you brought to the table tonight. It was really awesome. I feel like people really understand a lot more what's going on with you and, you know, the establishment over at Reptek and Cold Blooded Cafe. So shout out to you guys, man. Shout out to Desiree, the whole team. And yeah, man, appreciate you, dog. Thank you so much. Anything you want to say? Oh, you had a lot of supporters, man. I mean, we did go a long time, but you know, for the most part, we had 80 people hanging in here, man. So what do you want to say to everyone who tuned in, everyone who showed support?
I mean, really appreciate it. I mean, it's, you know, it's one of those things where I don't know why you're listening, but I'm glad you are. And if there's anything that you're taking away from it that can positively impact you, then I'm glad. So you know, if you watch our content, you know, meaning you know, me, Desiree, anybody here, MJ's, really appreciate you, and you know, keep tuning in, I guess.
And we will always tune in, and I'll make sure, because I promote the living shit out of them. That's why.
Sure do.
Thank you, man. You're awesome. I'll be talking to you soon, and make sure you follow my man, Stephen Kush. Make sure you follow Reptek, Cold Blooded Cafe. All the links are in the description below. Make sure you follow Unfiltered Reptiles podcast, because the kind of heat you just heard right now is always being spit on the show when Steven's talking. Yes. All right, man. Have a good night. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Good night, everybody. Yep.
Get some good rest, bro. Sleep. Okay? Get some sleep.
I'll try. It's kind of late.
All right, later. Woo! Stephen Kush, ladies and gentlemen, my best friend in the books. What a great episode. I'm glad it went down. I knew it went down. I mean, we could have went an easy 3 hours. Straight up. Lily wants a damn burrito. This is intense. The chickens haven't got put away. I don't want to make excuses, but I also don't want to give you full Kush. There's a lot more to talk about. Surface, we're here. Surface, not even scratched. All right, so we're going to come back to Kush again. So just be, you know, stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. That way you're on top of everything. If you want to support this channel further, and if you want to see more Kush, you want to see possibly Desiree, even though she hasn't shown her face on the Patreon page yet, but I bet I could get her to. Okay? We could get that kind of content if you join the Patreon page. So join the Patreon group. Hit that link. All right? Be a part of the Trap family. See what I got going on. Give you the background scoop on what's happening. You know, I'm not really too 411 with everybody, but I tell some people shit, like my Patreon family. You feel me? Great episode tonight, though, man. Super stoked. You guys ready for this Saturday morning or what? Trap Talk, dabs, and coffee session. We're going back north, baby. We're going to Canada, and we're going to Canada. And I need all my ball python motherfuckers in the building, because we're going to Canada. We're going to talk to somebody heavy, somebody who I've been looking up to since the start of this. One of my first Canadian breeders I started following when I started getting into this shit, and that's the homie Corey Woods. Corey Woods Reptiles will be in the building this Saturday morning, and I'm very excited. That fucking picture has no filter. There's no gray. I didn't do any editing, period, on this photo. These are real snakes. Mahogany, orange ghost, het pie, bunch of sick-ass shit. This guy's fucking bringing heat, man. He's been bringing heat, and he's a super low-key individual. So I don't know anything about him personally, but he's down to come on the show. Mad respect. So make sure you're tuned into that. Link in the description below. Set the reminder. 9 a.m., man. Good way to start your weekend is right here. Trap Talk with MJ, man. Saturday morning. Set that reminder. Love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Be safe, and God bless. See you next time.